Chapter 1133 Toward the Sword Shack. Chapter 1133 Toward the Sword Shack. Proofreader, Papatonks. Pick up the pace, you two. I don't want to get there when the fighting is over. A girl ran ahead of two guys, dashing through the woods and holding a wiggling worm. Adjusting course based on its direction, Long Jianshan and Xian Yinyang shared a worried look for the willful and obstinate young Miss Sister Siffin. Let's just stop. We'll only burden the Venerables in a Genesis stage expert showdown. Say, if you don't want to go, don't make excuses, you chicken. Luo Siffin huffed, speeding up. I'll just go by myself then. I've yet to see a Sword King fight. Are they as amazing as they say that not even the 5 of them together can handle? The Gophers hung their heads in defeat at their headstrong boss lady. We're here. Luo Siffin glanced at the worm, raising its head, and lit up. She crossed a bush, and a sea of yellow entered her view, with the sun's dazzling rays shining on her delicate features. Her enchanting eyes, she froze on the spot. Her excitement for the fight had now drained from her face, her blood running cold whoosh. The Gophers arrived as well. Sister Siffin, wait for us, we. The duo stiffened at the shocking scene. How is this possible? As the sand blew, they witnessed blood soaking everywhere. 5 familiar figures were laying in it. Unmoving before them was an old man in blue, holding an azure sword and tracing its blade with a frown. Strange, how can there be the vaulting sword art? Why does this sword contain vaulting sword's mysteries? The exalted aren't good at refining either, while their swordsmanship isn't impressive either. Does this mean that the Western Lands has another vaulting sword inheritor? But why the Luo clan? I've never heard of anyone from Luo clan getting into Double Dragon Manor. Grandpa Li. Luo Siffin cried out in tears, rushing to him before the other 2 could stop her. Siffin. The old man paused and observed the distressed girl looking after Li Jingtian. You're from Luo clan? Why your dragon, cleaving sword king, Danqing Shen? Luo Siffin's eyes quivered, but steeled herself to meet his gaze. Danqing Shen nodded. I am. The kids shivered, their hearts tensing. Did you do this to them? Luo Siffin was most definitely scared, but fought through it to ask. Danqing Shen offered a snicker. Yes, this is my handiwork. Missy, you're quite brave, knowing I hurt them yet rushing over still. Aren't you scared I'll take your lives? The trio flinched and shook like leaves. Luo Siffin tightened her fists. My clan has no cowards. Grandpa Li and the others are venerables. I am not about to turn a blind eye to them. My, what spunk! Danqing Shen nodded. I can see the valor in Luo clan, like they say. Even the kids are steadfast. I'd hate to go against you just on this alone, but I made a vow. Girl, you recognize this sword? Luo Siffin glanced at Everblue and nodded. Great, let's talk. I've come to Western Lands for only one man, and I'll kill any that stand in my way. But seeing your venerables so steadfast and righteous garnered my sympathy, and I left them breathing. Now tell me where you got this sword, and I'll leave you be as well. Luo Siffin was silent. Why is he so interested in it? Are sword kings after 12th grade spiritual weapons as well? Or is it maybe the blind uncle? I can't tell on him, or he'll get hurt. Danqing Shen snickered. Don't feel like talking? Then none of you are leaving here alive, including your elders. Danqing Shen flexed his aura to mount the pressure. The kids were rooted on the spot, their breath stolen, and their faces red. Luo Siffin gnashed her teeth. Ha ha, just like Luo clan tight-lipped. Danqing Shen's eyes shone. Ramping up the pressure. I asked the old guys as well, but they just attacked, and look how they end up. But why are you kids doing the same? They could at least fight while you are all powerless before me. Do you really want to die like this? Luo clan never turns its back on anyone. Luo Siffin squeezed through the pain and discomfort. Danqing Shen was touched. He was about to go easy on them when a shout came. It's the blind swordsmith. He gave it to us. Whoosh. Danqing Shen snapped his eyes on Long Jianshan. Who is that? He lives 3 miles out of Swordfall. The villagers know about him. Long Jianshan recoiled under the piercing stare. Dan Qingshin nodded and chuckled. Girl, you're not bad. Well, he ha ha ha. Dan Qingshin vanished. Luo Sifin glared at him. Long Jianshan, how can you sell out the blind uncle? What if he wanted to harm uncle? But we were about to get killed. What was I supposed to do? Long Jianshan looked crushed, muttering, I was doing it for us. It's he who will die, instead of us 5, 6, 7, 8. All the more reason we can't betray his good will after giving the sword. Are we that ungrateful that we sent trouble his way? Haven't you ever heard of death before dishonor? Luo Sifin glared as she lashed at him. Who is to say 8 lives outweigh 1 life? Rumble. A loud rumble approached as a 3rd-level spiritual beast drawn carriage arrived. Carrying a languid voice, are you from the Luo clan? Get in. I want to save the blind swordsmith. Why I've met your alliance leader once and told me who deserves to die and who doesn't. Regardless of what Dan Qingshin has against the Luo clan, the blind swordsmith is innocent. I will try to mediate. The soft voice spoke again. Have the wounded placed in a safe spot. I'll save them. Luo Sifin nodded in joy and signaled Xianyang for help with the elders. Long Jianshan hesitated, shaken up hard from the encounter with the dragon, cleaving sword king, but scarier by far was Luo Sifin's fury, and so Long Jianshan lent a hand as well after taking care of them. The 3 got in and were shocked to witness such beauty rumble. The carriage rushed through and arrived before the cabin with the sign Sword Shack written on it. Its door was blown out and Dan Qingshin sat before it. His eyes shone at the dangling spiritual swords hearing the carriage stop. He looked behind to see a fair lady cupping her hands. Dragon, cleaving sword king greeting. Morong clan's young miss? Dan Qingshin chuckled. I don't recall having met with Brother Morong. It ought to be Wine Sword Immortal the closest with you. Miss Morong, why would you look for me? The kids got out as well and shrank in fear, while also amazed at Morong Shui. The lady must be important for even Dan Qingshin to show respect. They had yet to grasp how vast the world was, that their Luo alliance had only been around for just shy over a century. As for the Morong clan, it held power in the 5 lands for millennia, making even the central area think twice. This was the deterrence a Sword King level expert brought, unlike all those countless factions. Chapter 1134, The First Steward. Chapter 1134, The First Steward. Proofreader, Papatonks. Taking in the Sword Shack's condition and the lack of battle signs, Morong Shui relaxed and asked, What of the blind swordsmith? Sword King couldn't have erased him already, right? I was met with a 9th grade array just as I arrived and only broke it. Dan Qingshin smiled. Inside there are only swords, but every last one of them contains deep insights in the sword path. I didn't know such a person lived. He may very well be the best refiner. Ha ha ha. Luo Sifin eased a breath. Thank heavens blind uncle isn't here. Morong Shui wasn't one to be settled with just that. Dragon, cleaving sword king. Why might you be looking for the blind swordsmith? What are your intentions? To ask some questions. That's it. Though if the answers are to disappoint, I'll be taking his life instead. Dan Qingshin squinted. His face cold. Morong Shui's heart sank. She let out a breath, knowing she could not stop a sword king. Despite being a peak Genesis expert herself, Luo Sifin was startled as well, praying, Don't come, blind uncle. Someone wants to kill you, a top expert in the world. You have to stay away. I couldn't forgive myself if you died. Which obviously went unanswered. My, what a crowd we have today. It's been ages since I got so many guests at my shack. Flinching, all snapped in the voice's direction and saw a youth in white and covered eyes, his smile sinister, and a few old signatures among you as well. Welcome, old friends, ha ha ha. Luo Sifin gasped. Run, uncle, he wants to kill you. Kill me, who? Aren't we all old pals? I never irked anyone here. Shuai Fan had no qualms at all, old pals. Luo Sifin looked at Dan Qingxin and Murong Shui. Their faces so shocked they'd seen a ghost. Dan Qingxin pointed at Zhuofan, stammering, "Why, you're not dead!" "Of course not. Or were you expecting a ghost in broad daylight? It never crossed my mind that you're the blind swordsmith." Murong Shui's eyes shook, taking a deep breath and turning to Luo Sifin. "Don't worry, this blind uncle is none other than the greatest devil that has walked the earth. Him getting hurt? It'll be a miracle if he doesn't cause genocide instead." "Yeah, who could ever kill me? Ha ha ha, girl, know how to make tea? Put a kettle on. Me and my old friends are having a chat." Zhuofan waved without a care. An hour later, Murong Shui gave the 5 wounded pills before laying them in the shack. Zhuofan entertained the guests in a small gazebo outside. The hostility was now gone. Replaced with utter calm, the kids were staring oblivious to the inner workings, slowly making their way inside the shack. Long Jianshan pulled her to the side and looked outside. "Sister Sifin, who is that blind guy? Why is Dragon Cleaving Sword King suddenly listening to his words and sitting down to enjoy old times? Who the hell is he to stand equal to a Sword King?" "How should I know?" Luo Sifin was equally baffled by what was happening. In any case, the blind uncle must be something else. How else can you explain these big names acting all friendly around him? Zhuofan felt 3 pairs of intrigued eyes on his back and smiled. "After a century, I still get to see some old friends. Miss Morong, still a busybody like usual? I'm working for the greater good in helping the needy." "Not like you know anything about that, now would you?" Murong Shui rolled her eyes and huffed. "Yet all these years that went by still can't make me forget the war, your actions, whether good or bad, whether right or wrong. That's why I have been traveling to see the world and find a definite answer. It has eluded me even now." Zhuofan smirked. "I've experienced life's trials as well, with something to show for, unlike you. If willing, come with me to see the culmination of evil and righteous in humanity. Maybe it will bring you peace." Murong Shui nodded in the end, no longer as antagonistic. "Zhuofan, did you make this?" Dan Qingxin placed Everblue on the table. Staring hard at his face, Zhuofan nodded. "How? Why can I feel the vaulting sword art from it? When did you learn it?" "Over the last century." Zhuofan eased a breath. "Old Dan, I've been keeping something from you for a long time. That fight in Double Dragon Manor." Zhuofan revealed vaulting sword situation in detail. "Sorry for fooling all of you. Vaulting sword was with me, while the exalted and you thought it was with the other. This burden had been held for 100 years. "What?" Dan Qingxin shook, unable to comprehend how a brat pulled the wool over him. The best in Western lands, and yet he was still the fall guy. Outrageous. Murong Shui gave him a long look and smiled. "You're really something, toying with Western lands best when you were nothing. I don't think there was anyone in the world would be more insane as you." "True, that was one huge gamble that had me nervous to the core." "Nervous? Yet you still took it? Where is it now?" "I won't return it." Dan Qingxin held out his hand, but Zhuofan shook his head. "It's been with me for so many years, I see no reason to give it away. I'm only explaining to you and giving you understanding, while giving me peace. I mean, you did save me once, and it wouldn't do to keep this from you. I have saved you years ago, and you're only telling me now. I was scared you'd kill me." "What about now?" "No." Zhuofan was frank like never before in his life. Dan Qingxin's beard shook wildly in anger. "Curses. He grew up, and now I can't do anything." The instant Dan Qingxin sensed the vaulting sword in Everblue, he knew. The swordsmith had the same understanding as him. And after seeing it to be Zhuofan, all became clear. Zhuofan was a freak of nature to begin with. Taking a century had to have made him an abomination. He believed he'd suffer for fighting, if it came to that after grumbling for a while. Dan Qingxin hit the table and rose to leave. Zhuofan stopped him. "Wait, old Dan, we haven't finished talking about old times after so many years. Where are you going?" Screw your reminiscing. I have nothing to say to you. I need to kill someone. A bloodlust like no other has taken over me. You had me fuming mad. Zhuo Fan didn't let him go still. Old Dan, you can kill anyone but Alliance leader Luo. Do a favor for the little old me, and let him go, all right? Favor? My word is my bond. Someone brought me the painting and asked for his head. How can I refuse? Old Dan, don't you find it the least bit strange? The whole world knows about it. You're being played. So what? I don't care. Dan Qingxin snapped. I have my principles. Even if we haven't fallen out, we're men of our word. You have your values, and I have mine. My oath has to be fulfilled to the best of my ability. Zhuo Fan nodded in understanding. Your best then if it exceeds it. What are you on about? Getting killed on your way to Luo Yinhai should be called excessive, right? Dan Qingxin's face twitched. And who would? Me. Zhuo Fan spoke. Dan Qingxin clenched his fists, squinting. Why would you? Because I am the first steward of the Luo clan, Zhuo Fan. Boom! A flood of bloodthirst rushed out of Zhuo Fan, filling the earth and the heavens with a crippling coldness. Chapter 1135. Still have the skill. Chapter 1135. Still have the skill. Proofreader, Papatonks. Who? An eerie wind blew through the world, sending fear into the hearts of every living being. Morong Shui even flinched back at her level. As for the kids, they paled instantly, shaking all over from terror. The blind uncle, who looked to be in the profound heaven stage, was actually on Dan Qingxin's level. Is he another Sword King level expert? But no matter how hard they racked their brains about it, no such blind expert came to mind. The newest addition was that lone arm Sword King Luo Sifin gasped at Zhuo Fan's cruel figure. Blind uncle is full of surprises. Dan Qingxin knew Zhuo Fan was at his level and couldn't be pushed around. He felt tense against such equal opponent, though it was far from making him fear it. You did in just 100 years what it took me 1,000. Zhuo Fan, you're one of a kind genius. You may be at my level, but we'll only end our fight in a draw. I know that most of your power is within those eyes. I may not understand why, but it's obvious you can't use them now. You have no chance of stopping me as you are. Dan Qingxin jumped and pointed 2 fingers at the sky. Following a deep rumble, the heavens caved and roars echoed out. With dragons converging on his fingertips, a power like no other fell from the sky. The destructive force covering the entire area Morong Shui was sweating. The kids were panicking. Is this a Sword King? We've never felt this before, not even from tens of Genesis experts joining hands. All Sword Kings are out of this world, but can blind uncle stop it? The trio turned to Zhuo Fan with hope, only to see him calm. As always, they thought the worse. Even he is scared stiff in front of Dan Qingxin's power. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan was gone the next moment, popping just a meter from Dan Qingxin. Why is he so fast? The calm Dan Qingxin turned frantic. His attack, gathering in his fingers, was sent slashing at Zhuo Fan with a flick of his wrist. Zhuo Fan couldn't dodge at this distance, taking the brunt of the attack. Any other Sword King would never take something like this head-on, since it would cripple them, and yet... Whoosh! Zhuo Fan's right hand shone scarlet and grabbed Bam. With the roars of thousands of dragons, the attack carried the might of heavens and dragons as they went for Zhuo Fan. But Zhuo Fan merely caught it with his Qilin arm. The rumbling grew in intensity, the clash sending blinding lights everywhere, along with violent shock waves. They crumbled the earth, shook the skies, and crushed mountains. The onlookers were overwhelmed. Is this a clash between Sword Kings? This is insane. What's with all this shaking? Is the world coming to an end? Dan Qingxin was just as incredulous. How can you take on my sword with one arm? A golden fire exploded from the arm, cutting off his words. The flames covered the sword wave, eliciting wails of dragons, while the Qilin arm squeezed. The powerful sword wave was devoured with a boom by the golden flames, while the mass of dragon power in the world around them faded out. The decimating sword art! Dan Shin cried out, then a scarlet glow flicked across the air, and a heavy power hacked at him. Zhuo Fan merely chopped, yet the scarlet wave felt like death to Dan Shin boom. The attack shot into the sky, erasing everything for 1,000 miles in its path. The mountain scenery surrounding Swordfall turned into a desert in an instant. The kids watched agape as the dust roiled in the sky. The landscape changed all around them. The shock almost stopping their hearts. Morong Shui was unable to believe such power existed, and gulped. The cunning devil from 100 years ago became a demon archon. Who could stand up to him? Dan Shin's white hair fluttered in the winds. Zhuo Fan took back his hand from the side of his face and said, "Old Dan, I may not have my eyes, but my skill remains. Now can you turn back?" Soaring sword art. Dan Shin stared back with empty eyes, his smile turning bitter. "Yes, I can. I have no way of killing Luo Yunhai. There's no chance for me when I'm stopped by someone who learned 3 divine sword arts to perfection. None whatsoever." Dan Shin looked devastated and forlorn, leaving with hunched shoulders. "Zhuo Fan, you deserve to have vaulting sword." And he left. Back to central area. Zhuo Fan was just too strong for him to defeat. The first strike stopped him, but the next would end him. The brat became the second invincible sword. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan landed as he watched Dan Shin go. Morong Shui no longer looked calm. Shaking like a leaf, "The 4 missing divine swords ended up with you 100 years ago." "Yes and no. You'll know in time." Zhuo Fan walked back to the shack. The kids were silent from fear. Even shivering, Zhuo Fan patted the girl's head. "It's fine now. Go back to your dad. Dan Shen was beaten back, so tell him to relax." "Ah, right." Luo Sifin nodded. Zhuo Fan smiled and patted her some more before going to Li Jingtian's side. He inspected their wounds and nodded. "Miss Morong isn't stingy with her medicine, using 10th grade pills. In a week, they should wake up and recover in a month. I'm never stingy with my patients. But it's also because Dan Shin didn't go hard on them and crush their spirit, or it wouldn't be as easy. Old Dan is an upright man, but in our world, sometimes you're forced to do things against your principles." Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan laughed. Maybe he'd wanted this defeat. "Really? I didn't notice him throwing the fight." "You can't keep yourself from following your heart's desire. This is old Dan's way." Zhuo Fan smiled. Morong Shui mulled it over. Luo Sifin plucked up her courage to say, "Blind uncle, do you and the Luo alliance have history?" "Haha, there may be some there." Zhuo Fan smirked. Then a jade slip shot into his hand. After a careful read, his face was hard. "Girl, speak to no one about today. Act like you never saw me. When the geezers wake up, take them and leave, understand?" Everyone flinched. What's going on? Why the sudden change? Chapter 1136. Twisted Humanity. Chapter 1136. Twisted Humanity. Proofreader, Papatonks. Luo Sifin grew annoyed. "Blind uncle, you're being mean to us. How are we going to explain to them when they wake up? That dragon cleaving sword king up and left? We have no excuse. Isn't simple." Zhuo Fan cocked an eyebrow. "Just say you pleaded with all your being, and he was touched by your upright characters, so he left. Then add a little flair to the story. Make it harrowing and desperate. That ought to sell nicely. That's it." The trio's faces twitched. "It's too damn obvious for anyone to believe." Zhuo Fan said, "We're the only ones who know about what happened. If you don't talk and I stay silent, none will be the wiser. You can spin it however to others. But what grounds do they have to doubt you? Besides, Dan Shin has long since left." "But—" "No buts. You're not to say the truth, or else." Zhuo Fan turned cold, adding a bit of bloodthirst in his gaze. "Dan Shin can't go to the Luo Alliance, but I can. Take it as you will." The kids shook in recollection of Zhuo Fan's godlike might and bobbed their heads. Zhuo Fan grinned. "Great. I'm letting you take the credit here and not silencing you. And haven't I told you last time not to speak about me? How come you brought Dan Shin to my door? The trio froze, with two of them looking at Long Jinshan's horrified face. Oh, the chubby guy again. Zhuo Fan pulled on that tearing face, snickering. Selling me out, have you? You were also complaining last time, snubbing me. Let's settle everything here, and now he... Long Jinshan slumped to the ground in a trembling mess. Senior, I'm sorry. I didn't know you're so great. I am nothing to you. Please have the generosity to spare me. I'll never speak of you ever again. Blind uncle, please let him go. Luo Sifin pleaded, afraid Zhuo Fan was going to pinch his brains out. Who could say with these geezers' tempers? Zhuo Fan smiled. Your old man must have spoiled you rotten. Judging by that horrified look, conceited all the time yet a coward when it matters. Get up. Now's your time to make up for it and play the hero. Tell on me again, and I'll go into your home and make mincemeat out of you. Got that? Yes, great senior, totally. I believe you can do anything. Long Jinshan sobbed and trembled. Zhuo Fan nodded. Content. With the other two kids lowering their heads, Zhuo Fan finally eased a breath and walked off. Blind uncle, you. Girl, I'm leaving. Today was but an interlude to what is to come. Take care. Zhuo Fan turned to Morong Shui. Miss Morong, are you still interested in figuring some things out? I'll show you what is good and what is evil. Zhuo Fan left. Morong Shui muttered, before following after him. The kids were the only ones remaining, looking lost. Long Jinshan was still shaking, his face twitching. Mommy, he's gone at last. In the Double Dragon Manor, when Tao, Yenemo, and other sect leaders had been at the heaven-reaching pavilion for a long time, pacing about while waiting for a reply, a grizzled man came out and bowed. Sect leaders, what might have brought you here? Elder, we would like to ask the Exalted whether... I'm terribly sorry, but the Exalted have been gone for a while now. We don't know where they went. The old man cut off when Tao, his expression heavy. Yen Mo asked, when will the Exalted be back? We're unsure. They've always been unpredictable. You've all been cultivating in Double Dragon Manor and should know this better than anyone. We do, sorry to disturb you. Wen Tao shook his head and sighed. They all bowed and left. Once gone, one black and one white old man came out. Exalted He Ran shook his head. They're all part of Western lands, yet we're still ignoring them in this. We'd be holding our duty if it were anyone else. But Luo Yunhai's ambition has no limit. He's been growing over these years so much that it's clear he aims for the top, going against us. His people's skills are truly formidable. All these people just now were once our disciples, yet they've taken the Luo clan side. He must have learned Zhuo Fan's core values. Even when Zhuo Fan faked death, they still recommended the Luo clan. Exalted He Ran nodded. I know. I just got word the Qin society that's been at odds with the Luo alliance all this time got pulled into the birthday celebration. Luo Yunhai's compassion has no limit. With such a high achiever in Western lands, it brings unrest. A vicarious settlement is best. Exalted by Mei left, while Exalted He ran side behind him. At the entrance to the Shangguan clan in Eastern lands, Shangguan Qinyan walked Wu Qingqiu out. I'm sorry, Senior Brother Wu. Our venerables are set on this. It's fine. The seniors must have their own thoughts about it. Goodbye. Wu Qingqiu bowed. Shangguan Qinyan returned the gesture. Feeling helpless, Shangguan Qinyan went back in and bowed before the elders. Venerables, Senior Brother Wu was here, and I couldn't be blunt, but now I have to know. The Luo clan is a benevolent group in Western lands, working well with ours. Why wouldn't we help them in this time of need and bring us closer together? Yenner, all these years you've handled the clan. You've never done anything of import, only trivialities, and don't have perspective. Why do you think Double Dragon Manor doesn't interfere despite Danqing Shin coming to Western lands to cause trouble? Why was it Wu Qingqiu who came asking for our help? Maybe Double Dragon Manor was in difficulty. What difficulty when it's just Danqing Shin and not against the central area? Even if something grave was happening, It should be Double Dragon Manor who would ask of our help and not Ultimate Clarity Sect. That's Shangguan Qingyan hesitated the venerable side, his voice resolute. Yenner, humanity is twisted at heart. We're not suspicious of other, but should at least be cautious. Double Dragon Manor is the head of Western lands. By going over their heads and interfering, we're undermining their authority, damaging the relation between the lands. And when Wu Qingqiu arrived, signs have already shown this might be the case. The Western lands' waters run deep, and it's best we don't get involved. Venerable Double Dragon Manor wants Shangguan Qingyan's face fell a month later. The envoys gone to plead assistance had returned. Looking bitter and disappointed, Yen Emo cupped his hand in apology. Brother Luo, the exalted, are away. Their minds, maybe. They were clearly avoiding us. One Tao sighed. I'd never have known people could be like this if it weren't for this incident. For even the exalted to do this. Luo Yinhai and Zhuge Changfeng foresaw this and nodded. Shangguan clan's 3 venerables declined on grounds of stumbling in their cultivation. Wu Qingqiu reported this reason was so casual it left others speechless. Stumble? They've been around millennia and 1,000 years at peak genesis stage with no sign of advancing. What stumbling? Neither side was willing to help. Who then in the Luo alliance could put a stop to Dan Qingshin's power? All had deep frowns at such a serious problem, but this trouble ended up repelled without their knowledge. The man who did it was now watching them from the shadows with a warm smile. Chapter 1137 Central Area Ambassador. Chapter 1137 Central Area Ambassador. Proofreader, Papatonks. Dad. In a moment of great turmoil, Luo Siffin's group came in with the wounded elders. Luo Yinhai gasped. Siffin? Where have you brats run off to the last few days? Your mother has been searching for you everywhere. Dad, we're not children. We've gone to do important stuff. Important? Luo Yinhai glanced behind them. At Li Jingtian and others, he only got utter confusion from the elders. And a shrug, Luo Yinhai turned to the kids, with Luo Siffin looking prideful. Dad, you don't have to worry about that Dan Qingshin guy anymore. We scared him off. He must be back in the central area by now. What? Everyone gasped, looking at the kids in disbelief. These we kids made Dragon Cleaving Sword King leave? As if. Luo Yinhai asked, still out of it. Elderly, you went to stop Dan Qingshin. What on earth happened? Are you all right? Thank you, clan head, for your concern. Actually, Li Jingtian bowed, then their faces twitched. We're not sure. Not even you? Why? Clan head, we've been unconscious from our heavy wounds. And when we woke up, we saw the kids had taken us to a bamboo shack. They say they've made Dan Qingshin fall back, and the only thing we could do was come back since there was no sign of him around. No checkpoint we passed had seen him either. Li Jingtian's story began shaky and ended in confusion. Did he leave or not? Luo Yinhai looked hard at Luo Siffin. How did you get him to leave? We. Luo Siffin giggled, putting on Zhuofan's style as she wove a touching tall tale. Long Jianshan and Xian Yinyang joined in as well, ramping up the danger, the tragedy, and, inadvertently, the comedy. They were sure to include any trial imaginable to any human being, no short of going to hell and back. And that's how Dragon Cleaving Sword King felt sorry for us pathetic 3 and left. Long Jianshan ended with a few sniffs, though the pride obvious in his eyes. Alliance leader, you can't imagine the danger Sister Siffin was in. But I stepped in. As if. I stepped in. Shut it. It was me. No, me. Long Jianshan wanted to paint himself as saving the damsel. But Xian Yinyang wouldn't have it. The next thing you knew, Alliance leader Luo would think of him when giving his daughter's hand. The two agreed that anything else was fine. Except this, the innocent Luo Siffin looked dumbstruck. Why fight over who lied? They weren't fighting for just some breadcrumbs, but for their future father-in-law's favor. Luo Yinhai was clearly not buying it, snapping at them. All right already. Who told you brats that you can go into such danger? Guard, cane them 50 times without yuan qi protection, and then ground them in their room for a month. Ah, don't give me that. I'll make sure you won't soon forget this. Luo Yinhai had the guard take them away. At the dismay of the heroes, didn't we do good? Why are we punished? Zhuo Fan laughed at their expense, patted Morong Shue's shoulder, and left Wu Qingqiu and Luo Yinhai were in the dark as to what actually happened. But their nerves relaxed with Dan Qingxin giving up. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan took Morong Shui through the forest outside the Luo alliance, laughing. The brats did it this time. They thought they could take credit? I'd have slapped them in Yunhai's stead. How could they go through such dangers when their parents are worried sick? Ha ha! You sure know your way around, having been the first steward of the Luo alliance. No one picked up on anything. Morong Shui looked behind the barrier. Please, I set these up before leaving. Even if it is improved, it is done with my own work as the base. I don't need to know much about this place. Ha ha ha. The good and evil you speak of. This. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Double Dragon Manor represents what's good and fair in Western lands, earning people's trust. Shangguan clan also preaches righteousness. Miss Morong must think that with the Luo clan holding the same values and asking them for help, they ought to jump at the occasion to do good. Why then the cold shoulder? Morong Shui sank in thought. Zhuo Fan smirked. It didn't get them anything by helping. The Luo clan is large, and Double Dragon Manor began to have different opinions about it. Since such a prime chance came to cull it, why waste it? Shangguan clan is an upright clan, but having not gotten Western lands boss greenlight, what would be the point of saving the Luo clan? It was ill-advised getting on Double Dragon Manor's bad side as a result. So I ask you, Miss Morong, is this good or evil? Behind a greedy heart, demons lurk. Morong Shui sighed. Zhuo Fan shook his head hardly. Double Dragon Manor has its own issues. It has deep roots into Western lands, tied to it. Once that changed, Western lands changed. Moreover, one's nature is forever unknown. What kind of boss out there would allow an underdog to rise above it? Even beasts would do everything to drive out intruders. Most of all humans. Why? Fear. Double Dragon Manor wants to do things for itself. Failing sometimes means losing one's life. Shangguan clan looked after itself just as well. By offending Double Dragon Manor, they lose a strong ally. What's so bad about getting your family strong before doing good? What point is good if it can't keep you in power? So are they good or evil? Morong Shui was mystified. Zhuo Fan laughed. Keep watching. The 5 lands are going to clash again. I'll then show you what a real disaster and calamity is all about. Morong Shui followed him still. In a gloomy hall, Yuan Yong hastily came forward to bow. Prime Minister. Dragon, cleaving Sword King, was thwarted. Someone stopped him, holding strength beyond his, from taking down Luo Yinhai. Oh, did those 2 geezers intervene? Bailey Jingwei smiled. Yuan Yong was grave. No. Who then? I don't know. The Sword King didn't say, only that he was powerless. I see. Dragon, cleaving Sword King's word is his body. For him to say that then it exceeded his ability. Bailey Jingwei nodded. No matter. What about the other land's reactions? Ignored. Yuan Yong replied. They all say they reap what they sow, and none stepped in. Not even Double Dragon Manor. Ultimate Clarity Sex Wu Qingqiu even asked Shangguan clan's help for the Luo clan, only to be refused. Bailey Jingwei's smile grew. Good, there's at least some result. Sir Yuan, ever thought of returning to Tianyu? What? Pass my order. Prince of Harvest, Bailey Yinming, in his position as Central Area Ambassador, along with Deputy Minister of War Yuan Yong, are to go to Western lands and discuss the removal of Devil Palace with every land. The other 3 lands will have a renowned member from the Ministry of Rights, Ministry of Revenue, and Ministry of Works as ambassadors informing the leaders of the lands of this action. Prime Minister, Yuan Yong was stunned. Bailey Jingwei waved him off, snickering. Sir Yuan, You have one other mission. Listen. Bailey Jingwei explained in the dark Yuan Yang's true purpose. Bailey Jingwei dismissed him and said coldly, Understand? I'm letting you do this not to get Tianyu back, but to become lord over Western lands, under the Sword Star Empire. Thank you so much, Prime Minister. I won't let you down. Yuan Yang cupped his hands and went away with glee. Chapter 1138. Glorious Return. Chapter 1138. Glorious Return. Proofreader, Papatonks. By Bailey Jingwei's decree, the officials drafted the documents quickly, sending them to the four lands leaders through ambassadors. As the Sword Star Empire was focused on recovery the past century, it maintained stable relations with the other lands. The lands were very much wary of this large enemy, but the appearances were kept. With some seldom cooperation taking place, Bailey Jingwei sent the ambassadors as goodwill. The four lands were welcome to refuse, but that would raise tension with the empire and lead to further problems that they would rather do without what was the harm of one small errand boy paying a visit anyway. As for Devil Palace, they were at peace with them now, but who knew what the future held? The day might come when all the lands had to unite and remove this organization. Taking precautions for that was only natural after careful consideration. The four lands agreed to the Empire's ambassador Yuan Yong and Prince of Harvest, Bailey Yunming, took their flashy honor guard to Western lands. Unlike the other lands' envoys, they had to make a stop by the Tianyu Empire before going to Double Dragon Manor. The Empire's ambassador is passing by and wants us to receive him. 3 months later, in the Imperial Palace's study, the middle-aged Emperor, Yuan Tsong, lost his youthful chubbiness, thinning somewhat. He even had a mustache. He gasped as he stared at Luo Yunhai sitting across from him. Alliance leader Luo, are you sure? Tianyu isn't in the direct path between Western Lands border and Double Dragon Manor. Are you sure that's right? Luo Yunhai sighed. Of course I am, since it came directly from Double Dragon Manor. Saying there's someone from Tianyu among the delegation making a glorious return and asking explicitly for the Luo Alliance to receive them. From Tianyu? Who? Yuan Tsong paced about in thought. Some glory, when it's just some guy's detour. Humph! I am the Emperor of Tianyu. Any that have been from Tianyu are my people. But to come back as Sword Star Empire's delegate, he's demanding my respect? That's humiliating. Luo Yunhai chuckled. Your Majesty, what humiliation! This is in constant flux. Weren't you respectful when meeting me before you even became emperor? Oh, I see. Yuan Tsong chuckled. Speaking of Alliance leader Luo, you were very kind back then. When Zhuo Fan seized everything, I thought I'd be reduced to a puppet my entire life. But after the Luo Alliance expanded, you returned ruling back to me. I'll always be grateful for that. Luo Yunhai said, Your Majesty, the Luo clan is also thankful for all your care back then. We both know it was an investment, like Zhuo Fan said, having motives. But you lacked any with me, offering back the power to rule in sincerity. They just don't compare. Regardless, the kindness still remains. The Luo clan will never lord over their supporters. Yuan Tsong chuckled. Alliance leader Luo, no, Brother Yunhai. I shall return your respect manifold. Whoever comes back to strut, I'll be sure to shower him in glory, so as not to nitpick with you. Nitpick? Brother Luo, I may be the ruler of some small kingdom, but things happening in Western lands do reach my ear. I know Double Dragon Manor is watching you like a hawk, ready to use anything as an excuse, right? I have vied for the throne and know how to handle problems. Luo Yunhai's face twitched, then beamed. After 3 more days, the imperial capital was adorned with colorful decorations. Emperor Yuan Tsong and Empress Long Kuei stood at the entrance. It was the highest honor given by the Tianyu Empire to any guest, that of the emperor welcoming the delegation himself, though soon found it to be given. Since it came from the Sword Star Empire, next to them stood the Luo Alliance high officials, with Luo Yunhai in the lead. All stood there, waiting until noon, when the sun was at its highest, to reveal a rumbling carriage forward guarded by an escort of 100,000 men and pulled by dozens of spiritual beasts. That's Western Lands, Ambassador. Bailey Jingwei must have sniffed a weakness in Western Lands and wants to take a bite. Zhuo Fan looked at the large army from the shadows of the walls, snickering. Morong Shui said, "How do you know Bailey Jingwei is after Western Lands? If it feels off and looks off, then it must be something off. The other lands, ambassadors, aren't as armed. Care to know why?" Morong Shui nodded. "Because all other ambassadors are second-rates, while only ours has a prince included. Something is bound to happen in Western Lands." Zhuo Fan grinned. "They say the prince is also ha ha ha. Just watch." Morong Shui watched curiously as the procession came to a stop at the gates. Luo Yunhai's group stepped forward and bowed. "I am Alliance Leader Luo Yunhai, and welcome the Central Area's ambassador." "I am the Emperor of Tianyu, Yuan Song. Welcome." Yuan Song smiled while holding his Empress' hand. There was no reply from the carriage, though a sinister laughter cracked up. "Ha ha ha. Third brother, it's been ages. I almost forgot you were the Emperor." Yuan Song shook all over as he glared at the carriage, still in disbelief of what he was hearing, that voice. "Ha ha ha. Have you forgotten your own brother's voice?" The door of the carriage opened, and a man with sharp eyes stepped out. Yuan Song paled, his fingers shaky. "A second brother?" Everyone gasped. The Emperor's second brother. It's that second Prince Yuan Yong that went missing? What's he doing back? He was being hunted for treason, and now... "Third brother, you lost weight." Yuan Yong had a vile smile as he approached Yuan Song, patting his cheek twice. "When I told you to get thin, you said you couldn't, gaining even from drinking water. How come you're so thin?" "Oh, I got it. It was an act. When seizing the throne, you played the innocent chubby to avoid suspicion. You fooled me and our elder brother. Now that you got to be emperor, there's no need for any pretense, is there? Ha ha." Clap. Yuan Yong made sure to slap hard enough to swell, laughing at his expense, driven by hatred. "Old third, aren't you tired of acting? You became emperor, but now what? Aren't you just a lapdog licking my boots? How dare you address His Majesty without proper respect?" Long Kuei shouted. Luo Yunhai scoffed. "Ambassador, you represent the Central Area. Please watch yourself with Tianyu's emperor. Don't take it too far." "Too far? The lord of some third-rate empire can compare to the glorious Sword Star Empire's Deputy Minister of War?" Yuan Yang snickered. "Alliance Leader Luo, your Western Lands' marshal. Half of it is yours, and you have my respect. As for his ex-lardness, what do you think the exalted double dragons would ever do to me?" Yuan Yang gathered Yuan Qi in his palm. Luo Yunhai panicked and grabbed it. "What are you doing?" "Just stretching." Alliance Leader Luo, lighten up. "I'm not about to cause trouble as the Central Area's ambassador. Humph." Yuan Yang rolled his shoulder like he really was stretching. His hand slipped from Luo Yunhai's hold and sent a taunting and sinister look. Luo Yunhai gnashed his teeth, his face dark. Yuan Song took a deep breath, bowing while straining to hold it in. "After you, ambassador." "Sure, your majesty." Yuan Yang showed a malicious smile, signaling the troops. "Enter the city, but be careful. Prince of Harvest is sleeping, and we don't want to disturb him, or heads will roll." "Yes, sir." The army rumbled onwards, with dozens of carriages. Yuan Song's group was filled with fury and revulsion. The Sword Star Empire's ambassador was Western Land's guest, and they could do nothing against him. The same happened in the past in this nation. But regardless of the discontent, never had it been the emperor suffering for it, though this time. It was the ambassador of the largest empire in the Central Area hitting the emperor of a third-rate nation. Chapter 1139, Trail. Chapter 1139, Trail. Proofreader, Papatonks. The Sword Star Empire's delegation entered the imperial capital, leaving Yuan Song's group behind like dirt. Zhuo Fan nodded. "To think it's Yuan Yang, of all people, the former brash and reckless fool, has smoothened out into a calculating man. Ha ha ha. Time does change everything. The most double dragon manner can do when irate is to drive them out. For humiliating the delegation meant war with the Sword Star Empire, which none of the four lands had the nerve to risk. The Luo alliance has no choice but to swallow this up. If it's only some rudeness, they could just pull through. However, Zhuo Fan left. Miss Morong, we're keeping an eye on the garrison. There's no way Yuan Yong came to Tianyu just to take it out on the emperor. Morong Shui rushed after him. She got so used to following Zhuo Fan. She did it out of reflex, so she could take in humanity in all its shades of gray. 6 hours later, the sun came down so the moon could take its rightful place. The imperial capital was decorated and dazzling, a different fervor setting in from daytime at the garrison. A fat man paced around, bored as hell creek. Yuan Yong stepped in, bowing. Deputy Minister Yuan Yong greets Prince of Harvest. Sir Yuan, you're finally here. I'm sick of staying all day in the carriage. Yuan Yong sat at the table, with the fatty coming over like an eager child. I did what you said and didn't accept anyone's invitation. Tonight you have to entertain me. The Prime Minister had me listen to you, but you can't just turn me into a prisoner. Yuan Yong smirked, his eyes shining with malice. No worries, Your Highness. I understand your plight. You're going to love it tonight. Really? Hee hee. Thanks, Sir Yuan. Prince of Harvest had a knowing smile. Twisting his fat fingers, Yuan Yong grinned. Taking out civilian clothes. Your Highness, you're very precious and would draw attention. Change into these, then we can have fun. I'll have 2 men cover for you, so no one finds out and shames us. I got it. The Prime Minister cares about this, and I won't let him down. The prince changed and was a bundle of excitement as he walked outside. Sir Yuan, you're nice. Once we get back, I'll be sure to put in a good word with the Prime Minister. The Prince of Harvest left, with 2 guards watching him. Yuan Yong's grin widened. Put a good word? Haha, how pointless. Sir Yuan, Emperor Yuan invites you and Prince of Harvest to a feast. A guard knocked on the door. Yuan Yong said, I know. His Highness doesn't feel well, so I'll be going alone. Understood. The man left Yuan Yong straight in his clothes and set off. Zhuo Fan slipped out of the shadows. Morong Shui asked, Going to the Imperial Palace? No, after the idiot prince. He's pivotal. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone, and Morong Shui followed after him an hour later. There was one particular building, lavishly decorated and filled with cheerful noises. It had a plaque 10 meters high and very conspicuous, fragrant manor. Prince of Harvest muttered, showing a degenerate smile as he approached. I feel right at home. Paradise, fairies and ladies, here I come. Prince of Harvest was like a beast in heat, going straight in. His guards grinned behind him. Prince of Harvest was soon surrounded by cherry lips as he entered a room. He waved the 2, and they offered a bottle. Prince of Harvest drank it, and his eyes went bloodshot as he roared, Tonight I'll be taking on 100 people. Who shall face me? Ha ha ha. Bam! The doors shut and moans, clamor, and shrieks came out from behind it. The 2 guards stood outside, sharing a knowing smile. Our good prince likes nothing else but to engage in such activities. We're going in. Morong Shui glanced at the shut doors from the shadows, and it was obvious what was going on behind them. Reddening, Zhuo Fan smirked. All the more reason we need to enter. What's the point of tailing only to give up at the climax? How obscene! Morong Shui glared at him with red ears and a hot face. How is that? I can't see what's happening in there now, can I? I can only guess based on those constant creaking and moans. How's it any different from looking from outside? Why enter then? To be on the safe side. My eyes aren't what they used to be, and I can't leave anything unturned. Zhuo Fan turned to mist and flew inside. The door opened and closed so fast and so little that the guards were oblivious. Morong Shui blushed red-hot, tensing as she forced herself to go as well. The door clicked close, and the guards felt something going in. But seeing nothing, they ignored it. She hid with Zhuo Fan in a corner, the degenerate sounds grating her ears. Joie Fan didn't even twitch, even after 2 hours. The noises kept going strong, with the Prince of Harvest turning into an animal and howling like a savage. The girls all groaned and cried under his brutality. Morong Shue bit her lip, glaring at Joie Fan and whisper-shouting, "Haven't you found anything after all this time?" "I did." "What?" "He must have taken something to have boundless stamina." Joie Fan nodded like a sage. Morong Shue's face twitched. "I'm talking about Bailey Jingwei's scheme here." "I'm looking for that as well, but I haven't found anything." "What a bummer, I can only hear." Joie Fan sighed. Devastated, Morong Shue was fuming mad. "Pervert, watch then, for I'm going." But then a person got thrown in through the window, looking either dead or unconscious. "There it is." Joie Fan grinned. Any man seeking relief, even if under a stimulant, would not turn into a mindless animal. What was the point? Prince of Harvest is about to go raving mad. His drink spiked to numb his mind. "I think it's Bailey Jingwei's doing." "What do you think, Miss Morong?" Morong Shue was puzzled. "What are you thinking about?" Joie Fan asked, but then nodded. "Ew, that's just nasty. I may be a demon, but I have my principles and never cultivated. Yet you actually I never imagined." "You," Morong Shue lowered her head in shame. "Rotten bastard. He's toying with me." Then the newcomer stirred and groaned. Morong Shue started at the sounds. "Is it that child?" "Siphon." Joie Fan sighed. The crazed Prince of Harvest picked up on the girl's voice and turned with bloodshot eyes. He howled and threw himself at her. "Here comes another, ha ha ha." A finger flick hit the deranged man, and he froze on the spot. Joie Fan lowered his hand. Morong Shue was about to go. "I'll take the girl. She shouldn't be here, ruining her good name." "Pa!" Joie Fan gripped her shoulder, earning an odd look from her. Luo Siphon stirred awake, and Joie Fan pointed at Prince of Harvest so he could move again. The pretty girl aroused all his senses, howling as he jumped her. Chapter 1140. Stirring Trouble. Chapter 1140. Stirring Trouble. Proofreader, Papatonks. "Ah, who are you?" Luo Siphon came to with a start at the beastly and naked man throwing himself at her. She snapped her hands forward out of reflex, pushing him back into the floor and making him cough blood. The drug had long since taken over the Prince of Harvest's mind, numbing his senses and taking away his reasoning. Regardless of the pain, he only saw the girl as a tasty morsel. Coming at her with lust in his eyes, Luo Siphon was scared silly. But her instincts as a peak, radiant stage cultivator kicked in once more, flinging the deranged man away, and bleeding. The man was so far gone he cared not for his life, going for her again and again, only to be repelled every time by the 30-ish time Prince of Harvest's fat body got bounced back. He looked battered all over, but his eyes never lost their ravenous hunger as they sought out Luo Siphon. Luo Siphon was horrified, even though she won. Morong Shue looked inquisitively at Joie Fan. "Why?" "Why what?" "You had him restrained, so why let him go, so the girl would deal with him?" Joie Fan said, "I feel like finding out what Bailey Jingwei is up to, and for that I let him win." "You let him win?" "Sure. I've had my eyes on the central area for years now, and I'm planning on destroying it soon for my plan to return. I can't wait a moment longer. As for why I held back, one is because Bailey Yutian's a mystery, and two, Central Area's recovery in these recent years has been going far too easily. You've seen for yourself how strong Central Area was in the war, stronger than all four lands forces." Joie Fan sighed. "Unless it makes a move, no one can shake that rock. Now that he finally showed his hand, I'm not about to stop him." Morong Shue's brow shook. "Then why did you stop his savage act for a moment there?" "You could have not interfered at all. Miss Morong, know this, I let him move, but I also have my limits. No harm will ever come to a Luo clansman." Joie Fan eased a long breath. "In all fairness, my plan would have been in motion all the same if Dan Qingxin had killed Yin Hai. But I stepped in because he cannot die. The same went for stopping the crazed prince, so Siphon wouldn't get hurt." By letting him act, I allowed Bailey Jingwei's plan to continue as I moved under this distraction. Nothing would have happened since Sifin is at peak radiant stage, while the prince is just a fresh radiant stage cultivator. It'll only make Yunhai feel bad is all. Morong Shui gasped, looking away. I don't get what you're saying at all. Schemer. Ha ha ha, Miss Morong, you're catching on. The you before would have butted in on the spot to help the needy, for the common good, for righteousness and purging of evil. Now you have learned patience. No, I haven't. It's because I'm still of two minds on what is right or wrong, and I don't want to make the wrong judgment. I've seen the people go through countless changes this 100 years, which only plunged me into deeper confusion. Now I'm going with you, so I can see your choices. Morong Shui squinted. Zhuofan smirked. Miss Morong, I'll share with you a story, one that will clear all doubts about right and wrong, good and evil. I listened to it in my travels through the 5 lands. It was illuminating, so much that my heart grew incredibly while my cultivation dropped 5 layers. Dropped? Sure did. True self art focuses on the heart and heart alone, bringing one back to one's true nature. Getting stronger is pointless with only a growing heart, and mentality would prove fruitful. Once reaching one's origin, I will finally see for myself what the world Tao really is. Now I'm interested to hear it. Morong Shui showed a rare smile, a sight for sore eyes, yet lost on Zhuofan Bam. That marked the 50th time Prince of Harvest went on the offensive and was repelled. The pain and hurt his body endured had no way of breaking through his drug-addled mind still, getting his feet under him with a loony smile and greedy eyes. Completing the picture was the constant blood coming from his mouth, mixed with bits and pieces from his innards. Luo Sifin's brow shook hard, unable to look at the ghastly figure. Who is this freak? He's like the living dead. Doesn't he feel any pain? Prince of Harvest twisted his body, taking another step for Luo Sifin. Blood poured out of him still, driven by only one instinct to mate. The innocent girl felt sick to her stomach. Opting to dodge this time, the doors burst open just then, and the 2 guards flew in, followed by 2 new people. Sister Sifin! Long Jianshan and Xianyang had arrived. Watching Prince of Harvest's bizarre shape going for Luo Sifin had them in shock just then. Who the hell are you? Don't touch her. The 2 coordinated perfectly, one with a palm, the other with a kick. Striking the vitals of the beaten prince, Long Jianshan was ruthless enough to even go for Prince of Harvest's heart, punching a hole in the fat man's chest. Xianyang did an overhead kick right at the face, removing the head from that gross body. Blood gushed everywhere, while the headless Prince of Harvest twitched once before splattering in his own blood. That was my claw. I saved Sifin. That was my kick. I saved Sister Sifin. Ignoring the corpse, the 2 stared daggers at each other, then rushed at Luo Sifin's side. Sister Sifin, are you all right? With a blank face, Luo Sifin finally snapped awake, pointing at the corpse. Who is he? Prince. A cry came before they could reply. The 2 guards turned their gaping expressions from the blood to the 3 as they spewed fire. You have some nerve to kill Sword Star Empire's Prince of Harvest. You killed the Sword Star Empire's envoy and have declared war on us. Sword Star Empire's envoy. The trio shook all over, then went slack from shock. We're done for. Zhuofan chuckled from the shadows. Oh, the brats are in for it now, ha ha ha. Is this Bailey Jingwei's plan? Dragging Western lands into a war? If it were that easy, he wouldn't be Bailey Jingwei. War? He can't suffer from it, ha ha ha. Zhuofan waved her off, walking away. Bailey Jingwei has started, and so shall I. I've waited 100 years for this. Wu Randong, your bitter wait is at an end. In the brightly lit imperial palace, with 3 rows of guards inside and another 3 outside, making it foolproof, Yuanyong attended the banquet held for the Sword Star Empire delegates, ridiculing, "Third brother, it's been ages since my last feast in the imperial palace. It feels awfully foreign. Since when did a third-rate empire have soul harmony guards. And dozens of them too. Third brother, you've sure gotten the empire far, ha ha ha. Imperial brother, there's no need for hazing. The Luo Alliance sent the guards for your protection. I am but the lord of a meager empire and have no right to have even one soul harmony expert in my employ. To be frank, Master is only at the 5th layer of ethereal stage. Yuan Tsung spoke coldly. Luo Yunhai's group stared hard at him. Yuan Yong sneered. Feng Qiubai? Isn't he Tianyu's divine dragon? Why is he such a disappointment? Only 5th layer ethereal stage? That's my level. Ha ha ha. Brother is Sword Star Empire's Deputy Minister of War, enjoying lush resources, unlike our barren lands. It's normal for brother to outdo master. Yuan Yong nodded. Right you are, brother. Central Area's environment is way better than here. Take the lowest official in the Central Area, and you still won't find any weaker than the Emperor here. In face of such an empty taunt, Yuan Tsung smiled, to each his own ambition. Some like to be the head of something, however small, while others prefer to bask in the glorious stool of others, to smell their stench. There's no forcing one's nature. Sometimes, not just any can be a leader, no matter how much they try. The bite Yuan Yong placed in his mouth shook, his face darkening from fury. You have guts, Yuan Tsung. Luo Yunhai was stern, while the guards drew around the Emperor. Yuan Yong's fury abated, snickering at everyone's tense looks. Brother, why do I feel these guards aren't here to keep me safe, but you instead? Brother, by no means do I deserve such honor. Ignoring the empty formality, Yuan Yong's eyes shone. Sometimes the guards' level matters not when they protect the wrong asset. Luo Yunhai's face fell, staring hard with a frown. What's that supposed to mean? Chapter 1141, Ruse. Chapter 1141, Ruse. Proofreader, Papatonks. There's huge trouble. Panicked cries echoed out into the hall from outside, making everyone frown. Yuan Yong was the only one still sneering. The one howling staggered inside, and Yuan Tsung shouted at him, What's all this fuss? Speak clearly about what happened. Yes, your majesty. The man wiped his heavy brow and bowed, still shaken up. Your majesty, Sword Star Empire's envoy, Prince of Harvest Bali Yunming Ws. Was what? Everyone's heart sank as Yuan Tsung held the man cried as he bowed. Killed. What? Yuan Yong smacked the table as he raged. What did you say? What happened to the Prince of Harvest? The man shook all over. The envoy, Prince of Harvest, was killed. Absurd. How could this have happened? Yuan Yong raved and looked around. Do any of you have any idea who Prince of Harvest is? He is the 15th grandson of His Imperial Majesty, bestowed the title of Prince at the age of 18. Out of deep love, he was sent to the Western lands to entrust you with his safety and learn of the world. But you had an assassin at every corner I see. Sword Star Empire will not stand for this. Everything that comes is on you. Everyone's heart was in their throats. The Central Area envoy, a prince no less, was killed here. They had to answer for it. Unable to escape such dire consequences, Yuan Tsung pondered. Brother, it's too early to assume. You said that the prince was unwell and can't attend the feast. Then he must be in his quarters. How could he be assassinated? Yeah, the guards there are thorough. Not only deputies' men, but also Luo alliances. How could there be a hit? Luo Yunhai spoke with conviction. Yuan Yong mocked. How should I know? Where was Prince of Harvest attacked? Yuan Yong looked with disdain at the man. Sir, Prince of Harvest was murdered at Fragrant Manor. Fragrant Manor, a brothel. Yuan Tsung let it slip and earned the ire of his empress, Long Kuei, who whispered, What's with that quick reaction in calling it a brothel? Do you know it? No, not at all. I just heard about it. Yeah, from Xiao Lizi, ha ha ha. Him? Won't an eunuch feel crushed going there? Long Kuei had a cruel smile. Yuan Tsung gulped and switched topics. Empress, this isn't the time for trifles. The envoy is dead with heavy implications. We must ascertain the truth. Brother, why did the Prince of Harvest, safe in his quarters, appear in a brothel? Is there something we should know? Yuan Tsong spoke earnestly. This is no longer a matter of protection. We can't protect him if your envoy goes wherever without telling us. We need to be aware of his every move, be it the brothel or the bathroom. Luo Yinhai gave the emperor a thumbs up. The emperor ain't just for show, so quick to shirk the blame. The empress did not complain further. Knowing this was matters of national security, Yuan Yong rubbed his beard, his eyes flashing. Guard! Execute all who are on duty! What's the point of them if they can't even notice the prince sneaking out? Yes. A man next to him bowed and ran off. Yuan Yong glanced at Yuan Tsong. Satisfied with my unbiased decision, brother? Who's at fault will get the blame. I know how to be fair. I have no comment. Yuan Tsong refused to reply. Yuan Yong looked at the man he sent. Though the guards are punished for neglecting their duty, they're not to blame for the murder. Now, who was it that killed the prince? Have you caught the outrageous criminal? Yes, but the man hesitated, glancing at Luo Yunhai. Luo Yunhai's heart sank with unease. Yuan Yong demanded, Stop blabbering and bring them here. Let us see who had the nerve to commit such a treasonous act. Yes. The man nodded and sighed as he went to pass the order. 5 people came in, escorted by many guards. Luo Yunhai cried out, Sifin! Dad. Luo Sifin teared up, looking victimized along with Long Jianshan and Xianyang, alliance leader. What's the meaning of this? What did they do this time? You're supposed to bring the criminal, not a girl. Yuan Yong said. The obvious Prince of Harvest's guards bowed and pointed at them. Deputy sir, these 3 killed the prince. The body is outside, scattered. What? Luo Yunhai gasped. It can't be. The 3 lowered their heads, admitting with their silence. Luo Yunhai held his head, with Yuan Tsong growing restless. What's with this girl getting involved in this huge problem? A ruse must be at play here. Yuan Yong snickered, his hand gushing with yuan qi. Since we have the culprits and it's due to our neglect, I shall do away with the criminals and not trouble you, ha ha ha. Yuan Yong's hand came down on Luo Sifin's head. Luo Sifin cried out in fright, the attack stopping inches from her hair. She cracked a frightened eyelid to see her father gripping the deadly attack with fury. Peak Soul Harmony Alliance leader, a man among men deserving his name, Humph. Yuan Yong's face shook, pain stabbing his hand as he released his attack, yet challenging Luo Yunhai. Alliance leader, what's this? You ought to know this matter involves the envoy and shouldn't be biased. I killed the guilty guards, and killing the culprits should be the best resolution for you. Luo Yunhai took a deep breath, not releasing his grip, showing the deep worry plaguing his heart. Yuan Yong laughed. Alliance leader, are you impeding me in exacting judgment on the culprits? The Sword Star Empire won't stand for it. Central area and western lands will be at war because of you. Are you ready to take on such a burden? Brother Yunhai. Yuan Tsong cried out, figuring something out. What has niece been doing in a brothel? What exactly happened? Luo Yunhai came to, finding a lifeline, and asked, Yes, what were you doing there? Dad, I don't know how, but as we walked around the city, someone knocked me out. The next thing I knew, some naked man jumped me, and I smacked him back. I fended him off dozens of times, but didn't kill him. Luo Sifin pleaded her innocence. Long Jianshan and Xia Ninyang bobbed their heads. Yes, Alliance leader, we chased the black figure, unable to catch him as he toyed with us. Then we reached a building where we heard Sister Sifin screams and ran there. But the 2 guards at the door wouldn't let us in, and we had to fight our way in. What we saw inside was a weird thing jumping Sifin. I acted without realizing, running my hand through his chest. I sent his head flying with a kick. Xia Ninyang admitted, we had no way of knowing he was the prince. Everyone knew then and there it's a ruse clear as day. Luo Yunhai glared at Yuan Yong, gnashing his teeth. Sir Yuan, you come at me. Do not drag children into this. You didn't like how Dan Qingxin couldn't take my head, did you? Alliance leader, what are you saying? Everyone knows it's between you and Dan Qingxin. I represent an empire as a peaceful envoy. Why would I ever want the great marshal of the Western lands dead? Yuan Yang's words dripped with cruelty. You need to stop being so biased. Brats, you said someone did this to you. Well, where is he? The three lowered their heads in defeat. Chapter 1142, Pretext. Chapter 1142, Pretext. Proofreader, Papatonks. Yuan Yong laughed, his eyes sharp. With no one around, you have no proof. For all I know, you could be making it up to save your hide. While your heavy crime of killing the prince is undoubtedly clear, we all heard you admit it. You're guilty and deserve to die. Yuan Yong snickered as he turned to Luo Yunhai. Alliance leader, is there something you wish to say? Luo Yunhai had a dark look on his face. I just want to know what Prince of Harvest was doing in the brothel. Yeah, how? With such a tight guard around, Yuan Yong had an answer ready. Turning to the two guards catching on, they cupped his hands. Deputy sir, the prince's character is known to all our people. Having come here as an envoy and unable to bring company, the prince had been feeling down these long days of travel. Now that we got to a big city, he disguised himself with normal clothes and slipped out. None here knew of the Lord's true identity, with only us following him. He was quite free, but then... I see. You didn't let the prince out today, just so he could go bed someone tonight. Luo Yunhai fumed at Yuan Yong. He knew then that with such a big welcome they held, the prince had just to show his face and everyone would know him for who he was. Their scouts would tail him from the shadows and make sure to keep him safe. Yuan Yong grinned, cruelly, mocking. Alliance leader, you shouldn't accuse someone without proof. I won't hear it. Everyone here knows our prince had been bottling up his needs for so long and just wanted to let loose. But at the brothel, these brats killed him without reason. It was my duty to dole out punishment to the lax guards. The prince had no restraint over his lower head and got himself killed. What's left is to punish the killers then. Alliance leader, I'll be taking the brats if you wouldn't mind. Yuan Yong flicked his hand and guards went for the kids. Luo Yunhai shouted while defending them. Let's see you try! Whoosh! In moments, many experts had Yuan Yong and his men surrounded instead. This being Luo Alliance's turf, Yuan Yong cared not, for his aim was achieved. Alliance leader. And what is this? Yuan Yong waved. I'm a Central Area envoy, a guest to Western lands that came here brokering peace. Our prince might have died without reason in your home, but we still have to be fair and not let this harm our talks. We only wish to give the Prince of Harvest justice, the same for anyone, regardless of status, a life for a life. Everyone in the world agrees to this logic, and yet the Luo clan, hailed as righteous and loyal, can't? Or maybe you'd like the Central Area to drill it into you. Luo Yunhai's face twitched in anger, a vein popping from strain. No matter what, no one will lay a finger on them, or they'll have to deal with me. My, Alliance leader, that's some fire in you. In broad daylight, clearly shielding criminals and ruining the peace between our lands. Looking at him, then at the sky, Yuan Yong chuckled. I thought Double Dragon Manor answered for Western lands, but now I see the times have changed with the Luo Alliance taking over. Hearts sank in panic, knowing he was throwing blame around just so the two would be at each other's throat. Yuan Tsong waved. Brother, please don't say nonsense. The Luo Alliance handling this area, and Western lands defenses were agreed upon by everyone. Double Dragon Manor entrusted them with this duty. With such a serious situation, it's only proper for the Alliance leader to make a thorough investigation. It's all within his right. Right? Humph. Yuan Yong mocked. What right would that be, when the three culprits are related to him, yet he gets to investigate? Not to mention, the truth is clear as day. Investigate what then? Alliance leader's reaction is clearly that of harboring them. Yuan Yong's accusation only grew wilder and wilder. Luo Yinhai was silent, stewing in rage. Fine. This is Luo Alliance's turf, and we're just a group of delegates, unable to take the criminals from Luo Alliance. Let's go. Being at odds for a while, Yuan Yong smiled in the end, calling his men back. I'll be sure to report this to the Empire and the Double Dragon Manor. Let's see what they have to say. I only wanted to handle this quietly, on account of Tianyu being my homeland. But you just keep fighting me on this. Now you'll suffer for it. Humph. Yuan Yong glared at Luo Yinhai one last time, laughing as he walked out. Yuan Tsong panicked at the thought of making this matter bigger, rushing after Yuan Yong. Brother, wait! Please don't! Yuan Yong got what he wanted and saw no reason to waste words on the other. He rushed back, eager to send his report. Prime Minister, the first step is complete. Humph. 2 jade slips streaked the sky with their green light, reaching Bailey Jingwei and Double Dragon Manor in 3 days. That was the moment all the land's leaders came to know of Alliance leader Luo's daughter's crimes, to which Bailey Jingwei had his response ready from the start. Zithar, Sword King, led 5 million soldiers of the Empire to ramp up the pressure on the border between the two lands, readying for war. Bastard. This is just a pretext of Bailey Jingwei to take it out on Western lands. Bam! In the Double Dragon Manor, Exalted Hay Ran slapped the table, holding 2 jade slips in the other, one reporting the events, the other being Yuan Yong's accusations. It just happened, yet they already have men at the border? It was premeditated without question. Exalted by May's side with a frown. Yes, I did say there was something off about the 4 lands envoys. It was all a ruse. But why must it be us? The other lands are doing well, as if to state we're the ones at fault. We shouldn't have agreed to letting the envoy in the first place. What's the point of saying that now? Send the other 3 lands messages that we need to work together. Exalted Hay Ran rolled his eyes. Exalted by May nodded. That's all we can do. At least 5 million isn't a lot. It doesn't look like Bailey Jingwei is ready for war. Double Dragon Manor's plea for help reached the other lands. Alas, relations weren't as good as before. Did they think Bailey Jingwei sent some pushovers to the other 3 lands? No renowned official he sent was weak in his book. That was for sure. A month passed, finding Zhuo Fan on his throne in a gloomy hall. Murong Shui was by his side, overlooking him, laying out his meticulous plan. Below was the second young master of Serene Shores Trading, the envoy of Devil Palace. Wu Randong, this is what I want you to do. You got all that? You'll have to endure for a bit. Zhuo Fan spoke. Wu Randong's brow moved as he bowed, looking excited. Palace Lord, I've been waiting for this day for too long. Sir could even cast me aside, and I'd still be at peace with it. It's not casting you out, but the winning move. Zhuo Fan grinned. What about the Luo clan? How are they faring? They should be ready to give. Wu Randong bowed. Palace Lord is correct. The Luo clan is stuck, assaulted from all sides. Double Dragon Manor asked for help from the other lands, but were quickly rejected. Why would the 4 lands, united against the central area, sit back in Western lands' time of need? Murong Shui frowned. Even interdependent, they shouldn't just let Western lands go to war. Zhuo Fan shook his head, saying to Wu Randong, share the details with her. Yes, Palace Lord. Wu Randong bowed, speaking gravely. Miss Murong, the 3 lands are in opposition in this matter, and not a whole. All because the central area holds the moral high ground. Murong Shui asked, moral. To an empire, the envoy represents a nation's ruler. To sects, he represents a sect leader's authority. To the land's powers, he is a proxy to the highest power. By killing him, it's like killing the ruler he represents. No one could accept this unless you're out for war. Killing an enemy's envoy is like killing their leader. Wu Randong continued. That's why this matter is taken as being the Luo clan's fault by any and all in the 3 lands, while the central area is in the right. Adding to this, the central area's envoys are in their lands, all the reason why the 3 lands are finding it hard to step in. Chapter 1143. I'll bear it. Chapter 1143. I'll bear it. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuo Fan nodded. This is morality and the apparent righteousness all people have. It's universal law for one to repay with life or money for a crime. It stands at the core of every human, the basis of any human society. Without it, humans would be scattered, let alone having the common interest the four lands once had. That's why no one can oppose such a principle, for it's like denying yourself. As the Luo clan had no hard proof for their innocence, none would be taking their side. Palace Lord's talk of principle is the deepening discrepancy between the three lands. That is, whether or not it's worth helping the Luo clan. By siding with them in the open, it's like throwing away the sense of justice all people have. By turning a deaf ear, they fear the central area would use this chance to remove one of their allies. Adding to that, the central area's envoys are in their homes, so they can hardly show any support while also talking it out with the envoys in hope of diffusing this problem. That's precisely why war must have a good pretext. One must have the moral high ground, or else the one at threat would be himself. Zhuo Fan smiled. Though every land fears the Empire's war when there's no need to. Bailey Jingwei is so cautious and subtle, meaning the Sword Star Empire's frail stability would crack the minute any large deployment is made. For that reason, he only sent 5 million soldiers at the border, to intimidate and bluster. Wu Randong nodded. Palace Lord is correct. Bailey Jingwei is now aware of Devil Palace and can no longer wage war on a grand scale like before, though his scare tactic is no less believable to the lands. Ha ha ha. The four lands are a shadow of themselves a century ago, suffering heavy losses. Zhuo Fan's face hardened. That can only mean, to broker peace with Bailey Jingwei, they need a scapegoat. Miss Morong will be going to the Luo clan again. If Yin Hai recalls my actions, Bailey Jingwei's scheme will fall apart. But he isn't me. Zhuo Fan stood and walked, with Morong Shui on his heels. Wu Randong bowed. Safe travels, Palace Lord. In the heart of Luo Alliance, everyone was looking pensive, waiting for Double Dragon Manor's message, and trying to come up with a solution on their own. They kept coming back to the killing of Prince of Harvest. It was the only reason why the central area could show their might and send troops to intimidate despite the lands being against it, with the kids killing Prince of Harvest out in the open. The Empire coming for justice was only proper. They could say it was a trap all along. But the schemer was also sure to tie up any loose ends. That guy in black who took Luo Sifin was gone. With so many guards among the delegation, anyone could have put on a disguise and led the kids away. It's impossible. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head, worried as much as the other two. Bailey Jingwei must have set it up, but why? Is it just to target us? Even if we admit it, what then? It'll only take out some scapegoats. One prince for the life of 3 kids. Why would he do that? Lang Wucheng was solemn. It's obvious he's not after the brats with such a twisted trick. He knows clan head would never give them up. Lang Wucheng glanced at the pensive Luo Yunhai. Luo Sifin was in her mother's embrace, looking at her father with tears in her eyes. Whoosh. Wen Tao and Wu Qingqiu rushed, and how is it? Luo Yunhai jumped to his feet and welcomed them. What did the Exalted say? The two found it hard to speak. With Wu Qingqiu starting, Brother Yunhai were the ones at fault, while Bailey Jingwei had kept talking with the 3 lands to stay out of it. They take it as being against the 4 lands' common interest, and nothing more than a personal grudge, while hoping of diffusing this problem to avoid war. The Exalted each man for themselves, to sacrifice them for the Western lands' peace. If the matter isn't settled, they would keep pushing us, and the other 3 lands leaving us aside. I knew it! Zhuge Changfeng leaned back in his chair with a sigh. Luo Sifin cried in her mother's embrace. Mom. Sifin, it's all right. I won't let anything happen to you. Rubbing her back. Yuer's heart was torn as well. Luo Yunhai gnashed his teeth. In other words, the Exalted want my daughter to take the blame to make the central area retreat. The two hung their heads. Don't they know she's been set up? Luo Yunhai held Wu Qingqiu aside. Anyone can see what is going on, but without proof, The central area had the pretext to wage war while the other lands have no reason to intervene. How could they help? Helping Luo Alliance harbor criminals? No leader of the three lands would ever accept this. The war must be right, even if on the surface. It's not about the land standing united, it's about reason. Wen Tao patted Luo Yunhai's shoulder. Brother Yunhai, sorry, we're unable to give much help. Luo Yunhai's brow shook, looking at his crying daughter. His eyes shone and stormed out. No one chased him. Maybe Alliance leader needs time to calm down. 5 million soldiers wasn't many, but they had a sword king leading them. When the war started, the death toll would be huge, something none from Western lands wanted to happen. 3 days later, Yuan Yong walked in the dead of night through a gloomy forest. When someone popped in front of him, Yuan Yong smiled and cupped his hands. Alliance leader Luo, was it you that asked me to see me here? What would Alliance leader ask of me on this perfect night for murder? Let the children go. Luo Yunhai glared at him. Yuan Yong cackled. What's this, Alliance leader? It's a heavy crime for her to kill the Empire's precious prince. With the entire affair so huge, you just want me to let your daughter go? You're barking at the wrong tree. I'm just an envoy, a messenger. I don't have the authority to pardon a national criminal. Spare me the theatrics. We're the only ones here. Why are you doing this? Luo Yunhai shouted. Yuan Yong looked around, showing his sneaky grin. Nothing, really. Our intent was plain from the start, to exact justice for Prince of Harvest. Take the culprits and punish them. Yuan Yong emphasized his words, reading Luo Yunhai's face. The kids didn't do crap. There's no point in taking them. Luo Yunhai caught his drift, squinting. I'll go with you. Bailey Jingwei is after me, isn't he? Then I'll go with you to the central area. Yuan Yong chuckled. To the central area? The Great Alliance leader Luo, with half of Western lands behind you, there's absolutely no reason to kidnap the mighty Marshal. This would make your friends attack, and we'll start another world war all over again. Although I haven't been in Western lands for many years, I also know very well that the Luo Alliance puts benevolence first and has many allies. Touching you is like poking the hornet's nest. Shove it. Don't you need a pretext? Luo Yunhai sneered. I made the brats kill Prince of Harvest. They're just like assassins that listen to my orders. I'll bear this blame. Take me, the main culprit, while leaving those nobodies aside. Yuan Yong stared in those firm eyes and chuckled. Is this true? My word is my bond. Great. Since the Alliance leader said it, I'll oblige. But no take backsies. Yuan Yong snickered, his eyes shining. Alliance leader after you? Though you should know, the 5 million strong army at the border won't leave until you enter our Empire's lands. You don't have to tell me. Luo Yunhai was calm, walking forward. Yuan Yong followed with a winning smile. In the morning of the next day, the delegation sent word to all Western lands, a most shocking news. The Alliance leader Luo, Marshal Luo Yunhai, instigated the death of Prince of Harvest, and Deputy Yuan Yong was taking him back to execute him. Chapter 1144. Trend. Chapter 1144. Trend. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. As Yuan Yong's delegation was set to leave, thousands upon thousands of men had the tiny Tianyu imperial capital surrounded. Ready for war, Yuan Yong snorted and glanced at unconcerned Luo Yunhai. Alliance leader, I told you that you have many friends. We haven't even started, and they came, humph. Friends, step aside, please. Luo Yunhai caught on and stepped forward with a bow and cupped hands. Thank you all for your intentions towards me and the Luo Alliance, but the central area and Western lands are on the path to war because of me. Giving my life for Western lands is my duty. I ask that everyone accepts. Luo Yunhai bowed. Once more the huge crowd replied in kind. We respect Alliance leader Luo's righteousness. Dad. Luo Sifin rushed out of the ranks, going for her father. Dad, it's all my fault. I should take the blame. It isn't yours to carry. Luo Yunhai smiled. Sifin, it had nothing to do with you. They were after me. Why else were they so quick to accept me taking the blame? Now go back. Don't let this hold you back. It'll all be fine. Dad. Luo Sifin sobbed. Long Jianshan and Xie Nianyang approached, looking forlorn with their hung heads. Luo Yunchang, Yuer, and Zhuge Changfeng wanted to get their clan head home, but they knew his mind was set and did not say anything. Only Yuer came next to Luo Yunhai, holding his hand. I'm going with you. Yuer. Ever since we held hands for the first time, we never separated. Yuner smiled as she turned to Luo Yunchang. Sister, I'll leave Sifin in your care. Luo Yunchang's eyes shook, looking long at the couple, and gave a painful nod. Mom, you too. Luo Sifin cried harder. Crushed from sorrow, Yuer rubbed her cheek with a smile. Once together, only death will do us part. Sifin, I won't ever leave your father. I'm sorry for not looking after you. Dad, Mom, Luo Sifin cried harder. Luo Yunchang and Yuer exchanged looks, and the latter knocked her out to let Luo Yunchang take her to their relief. Luo Yunchang took the girl and returned to the crowd. But Luo Yunchang was also struggling, closing her eyes shut as tears fell down her cheeks, her heart breaking with every step. I'll leave the Luo clan to you, stewards. Luo Yunhai saluted Zhuge Changfeng and the others, leaving with Yuan Yang's escort. In their travels, any with even a bit of honor would see them go. They all knew the Luo clan was framed. That was why Luo Yunhai took the blame from his daughter to settle the tense situation. He had earned everyone's respect and admiration with his selfless act. Yuan Song and every sect leader, including the former enemy Qin, how from Qin society all known figures came to see Luo Yunhai off, the greatest meeting in Western lands. It caused a great shock in even Yuan Yang. Luo alliance has far greater clout in Western lands than I thought. The only one missing is Double Dragon Manor. From a dark corner, Zhuo Fan watched with a shaking head. Oh, those old coots, they won't even put up a token of effort? Humph, he is giving his life for Western lands, and by not showing even the slightest intention, they'll only earn the people's ire. You won't step in to save him? Luo Yunhai didn't die to Dan Qingxin, but will now be executed in the Sword Star Empire capital. Murong Shui teased Zhuo Fan, shook his head. You think Bailey Jingwei fanned the flames so hard and even brought an army just for the measly Luo alliance leader? Haha, a pawn is only a pawn in your hand. Once crushed, it's worthless. Yunhai won't die in the empire, for he has plenty of worth. How could Bailey Jingwei do away with him before squeezing him for all his worth? You mean Bailey Jingwei is on the move? Yep, with Yunhai in his control, he ought to have enough pieces to act. Only when he moves, I can move too. Zhuo Fan sighed. 100 years passed, yet the four lands leaders have not made an ounce of progress, Bailey Jingwei playing them like a fiddle. Murong Shui chuckled. Oh, is there another way of handling this matter? I find Luo Yunhai's sacrifice for the good of others is honorable. How would you handle it? Humph. Giving your life for peace is honorable, sure, but it's not to settle things. It's because he had no choice. Bailey Jingwei forced him into a corner. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Miss Murong, what you and Yunhai along with many value honor, it is in fact a great flaw. In the end, people harm themselves. Why do you say that? Oh, I did say I was going to tell you a story. This is the perfect setting. Care to listen? Zhuo Fan didn't wait for her answer, getting right to it. Once upon a time, there were two warring kingdoms. They both had prisoners of war and sometimes exchanged them, while most of the time employed them as slaves. One kingdom decreed that any who brought back their fellow people would be rewarded. And so many merchants traveled to the enemy kingdom and had no trouble buying some prisoners of war to bring back, receiving glory and wealth. But one man among them refused, more than happy to hand the wealth over to the officials. What do you think of him? Murong Shui frowned, honorable and kind, not minding little remuneration, and a man of virtue. This is the righteousness you know, right? Yes. Murong Shui nodded. Zhuo Fan laughed. The story has yet to end. When this same man you consider virtuous and honorable returned to his master and gave his report filled with pride, How do you think the master reacted? If the master was just as upright, he would praise him. He was upright, true, garnering respect, but he did not shower the disciple in praise, instead giving him 2 slaps. Ha ha ha. Why? It totally baffled Morong Shue. Zhuo Fan snickered. That's the same reaction the disciple had. He helped people, for neither profit nor fame. So where did he do wrong? His master replied that after the law was placed, people could earn a fortune for redeeming prisoners of war and fame along with respect of others. But what about those that refused the reward? It takes money to redeem prisoners of war, but when you ask for a reward, it may seem like your honor and decency is being questioned. Saving people from misery has nothing to do with honor or decency. And by not being rewarded for the hard work, who will still do it? Just like the man who redeemed without reward, thinking he was doing good. When in fact, when people see him as an example, who would go back to redeem prisoners, losing money and the chance of fame is a lose-lose deal. This leads to no prisoners being bought back, living the rest of their lives in misery and torment. So then, is such an act righteous or evil? Stunned, speechless, Morong Shue was lost for words. The righteousness you hold dear may not be in the people's benefit. The evil you believe may also not be in detriment to life. Whoosh! His hand shone and revealed white paper between the two. Zhuo Fan grinned. Like this paper, I see my side as righteous and you see yours as righteous. But who is to say which is right, which is clearer? Ugh. Morong Shue's heart sank. Zhuo Fan laughed, dangling the paper. In the end, what we choose isn't right or wrong, but what we want to see or face. Once you see what others want to do, we just show it to them. Just like in the story, the goal is to redeem prisoners and save them from suffering. It's not to show off your moral values and pointless theatrics that are more of a hindrance than help. Ha ha ha. But how are we to see what we want? By following the trend. Zhuo Fan grinned. Human nature is selfish, you can't deny it. The heart has demons, something else you can't deny. This, however, does not mean such a person isn't capable of virtue. Just like that law, sending everyone to redeem prisoners, making them do good, while also fulfilling their desire for fame and fortune. This is the trend, what everyone yearns for. It's totally natural for a good man to be selfish. The righteous one holds isn't to purge one's demons, but embracing them instead, for righteous and demonic may not be in such contradictions to begin with. Chapter 1145, Answer. Chapter 1145, Answer. Proofreader, Papatonks. Morong Shue gave him a long look and a nod. In other words, anything is allowed, be it good or evil, as long as it follows a good trend. Going by the upright and honorable Miss Morong, that is your wish. Zhuo Fan smiled, just like another tale. A thief entered a rich house to steal, only to find the owner deathly wounded and called for help, leading to his capture. But at the trial he was released. The verdict read, I would rather have thieves saving lives than our world turned into a living hell, with none lending a hand. This is also a trend. Reason dictates that releasing a thief was against the law, but it gives birth to a trend, making life precious, far more precious than anything in the world. Like so, it would lead to the belief that even if one steals, he would do not harm. Those who harmed would be punished severely, while those who didn't will have lighter sentences. It's clearly his own evil machination, yet the trend made it honorable by saving lives as a result. Thus, evil is evil, stealing is stealing, fighting is fighting, yet there would no longer be harmed people, not for others, but for oneself. Morong Shue nodded numbly, her heart changing as she discovered a new way of looking at things. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Turning to the tide of people, returning to Yunhai, he took the blame to secure Western land safety, an act both honorable and admirable. But after that, Bailey Jingwei's plan bears fruit. His plan, making a crack in Western lands. Zhuo Fan spoke. Yunhai's development was too fast this past century, gaining too much attention from the Double Dragon Manor, still holding the last word in the Western lands. This is similar to the Luo clan's beginning. I went for quick growth then, because I believed to lord over the rest in quick succession. But the Luo alliance is going even faster while lacking the ability to overcome others. As it is, it only lacks some heavyweights, and it would replace Double Dragon Manor. In short, it only needs time. Seizing the boss seat has to be done fast, to minimize the danger. When I brought up the Luo clan, I played hard and fast, keeping it in the shadows, out of prying eyes. While the Luo alliance's intent had not just been found out, but decades in advance. While other factors played a role. Double Dragon Manor aren't open with their hostility, but it is there and growing. When Danqing Shen came, and in the Prince matter, Double Dragon Manor wanted to cut the Luo alliance down to size, to crack it. A gap Bailey Jingwei is sure to use to slip right in. Murong Shui squinted. You mean Bailey Jingwei isn't starting a war with Western lands, but wants to drive a wedge? In war, the four lands unite, and there's also Devil Palace hiding in the central area. He'll never do it, Zhuo Fan continued. So he can only play in skirmishes, making a gap in Western lands. The hostility between the Luo alliance and Double Dragon Manor. This had yet to be nuanced until now, but today it has been cemented and would lead to a huge crack in Western lands' defenses. It's plain to see what influence the Luo alliance has in Western lands. Yunhai's fate is bound to raise discontent in the hearts of not just the Luo alliance, but many other factions in Western lands. Double Dragon Manor is the big leader of Western lands. He can lash out at the little guy all he wants, so long as they are in their house. While outside, he has to protect him. It's his job. It's public knowledge the Luo alliance suffered for nothing, and now Yunhai would suffer a fate he could not escape by taking all the blame. In this time of peril, Double Dragon Manor gave not a token of help, throwing the little guy to the wolves. What will the other little guys think? They'll be disappointed. The Luo alliance was threatening Double Dragon Manor, but at least play a role, easing the other little guys' hearts. That's why I wonder just how these old coots got to lead Western lands. Murong Shui's face twitched. The Exalted had towered over Western lands for thousands of years as men of virtue and honor, unlike the devious and twisted guy you are. Even if honorable, they have their own demons and desires, lust for fame and fortune. How could they just forget their duty just because they find Luo alliance an eyesore? True, the older the senior, the unsteadier the heart. Murong Shui sighed. Zhuo Fan nodded, then shook his head. Though this isn't half bad either. At the very least they talked it out with the other lands, and didn't stone the Luo clan where it stood. This showed they knew good from bad, and greed had yet to cloud their judgment. Just a mere omission. That's already kindness from a leader. If it were me. What? The Luo clan would have long since been ashes. Zhuo Fan said. Murong Shui sighed. The Luo clan must be thankful that they have you as a steward and not an enemy. By the way, didn't you say you have a solution? What is it? Oh, mine is a little blunt. Something Miss Murong is sure to not like. Just say it. It's just a thought, and not truly enacted either. I'm also much more tolerable now. Oh, then my answer is... Zhuo Fan showed his evil smile, stirring the entire alliance to duke it out regardless of bloodshed. Who do they think I am? I've gone through thick and thin, and they think they can chop me off like that? Bring it. Dong. Murong Shui blanked out, floored by Zhuo Fan's thuggish solution. That's your answer? It's like sending everyone to die for you. Ha ha ha. I told you that you wouldn't like it, and you said you could take it. Zhuo Fan said calmly, Miss Murong, that was a joke. But my solution can handle it in one move, fighting all the way. Have you ever heard of the bold fear the resolute, and the resolute fear the reckless? Sometimes the scariest people around are the crazies. Nothing beats your crazy. Can the Luo alliance's strength do it? There's no need to. They only have to look like it to scare the other. In fact, it's no different from Bailey Jingwei's tactic. Zhuo Fan grinned. Miss Murong, do you still remember our talk at the beginning? Trend. Yes, that. Zhuo Fan said. The Luo alliance isn't even close to a tenth of the Central area's power, but a spark can trigger a great change. The Luo alliance with a few allies can hold at least a third of Western land's power. How would Double Dragon Manor handle such force? Maybe ignore it and let the Central area crush it, but then what will be left of Western lands? Without the Luo alliance, even with Western lands being Double Dragon Manors, they would earn nothing but ire. Could the other 3 lands stand still while Western lands goes through a bitter war? The loss of one land means the death of all. The others are sure to disregard any honor or fame then. This is a siege they have to hold out. So my solution is to hold Western lands hostage. Thus all 4 lands, and by extension everyone, to wage bitter war with me for my own benefit. But won't this lead to a world war like before with heavy losses? Murong Shue's eyes shook. You're a lunatic, ignoring the consequences. Luo Yunhai is far more reasonable. Zhuo Fan said. He is indeed reliable, not wanting to let his family suffer. Ha ha ha. Miss Morong, you must have forgotten. That Central area is in no position to fight the 4 lands again. That's why Bailey Jingwei could only glare at my tactic without retaliation. There's your trend. The 5 lands would then have useless peace talks, and the prince died for nothing. You're twisted. Murong Shua huffed, though a smile played on her lips. Zhuo Fan's plan may look insane, but the results go in the right direction. This must be where righteousness and demonic intersect. If you figured it out, can't the Luo clan as well? It may not be that simple. Lung Wucheng and Zhuge Changfeng aren't just for show, but they wouldn't mention it. Why not? They'd never propose something unless absolutely certain. Zhuo Fan sighed. A large deployment needs plenty of pawns. The Luo clan has too few. They don't know how big Devil Palace is, and if they would work together, nor do they know Bailey Jingwei's limit, and if they themselves can sustain such a plan. With so many unknowns, the most important is in the end their apprehension. Drawing Double Dragon Manor and other lands' leaders' fury that would burn the Luo clan to the ground at some point. This strategy would never come for those playing it safe and without resolve. The 3 are all excellent masterminds, but not rulers lacking in drive. Murong Shue nodded. Yeah, who else in this world would bet on victory using the entire population as a bargaining chip, but a demon like you? In any case, it's good to be careful. They also lack the foundation to take such risks. Zhuo Fan took one last look at Luo Yunhai in the distance, and then vanished. Murong Shue followed him. Chapter 1146, Last Hope. Chapter 1146, Last Hope. Proofreader, Papatonks. Luo Yunhai, left with the crime of killing a Central area prince on his shoulders, followed by the retreat of the 5 million army. The 4 lands breathed easier, rejoicing at having avoided another bitter war. Whatever Bailey Jingwei was thinking, they never wanted to wage war with him, be it in strength, numbers, and peak experts. They lost to the Central area by a clear margin. In a high-level battle, last time they had Zhuo Fan leading them. So who is to match Bailey Jingwei's brains now? The leader's joy and celebration was Luo clan's sorrow. Everyone, with Luo Yunchang and the Num Luo Sifan, sat in their chairs with worry. The 3 minds sighed. The venerables lowered their heads, losing their boldness. Bam! Li Jingtian slammed the table and jumped to his feet. We're going to get clan head back. Hide for a while and the news will just blow over. Bull, did you forget who holds him? Sword Star Empire. Have you forgotten the miserable defeat to Dan Qingxin? Save him. Watch out not to leave your life first. Humph. Lung Wucheng glared back with a louder voice. Everyone started, for Sir Lung was always respectful to the venerables. It was clear that even he took the loss hard. Li Jingtian slammed the table again. What then? Are we going to let clan head go with them and have the empire execute him? I've been with clan head in wars for 100 years now, and never so furious. Elder Li Wait. Zhuge Changfeng was quite calm, his eyes sharp. Bailey Jingwei is known as the best minister in the world. His schemes are deeper than anyone's. Nobody can rival his strategies, either. Did he make such a convoluted plan, just to take our clan head's life? No disrespect, but no matter how strong the Luo alliance is, it's far from worthy of his full attention. The play has yet to end. Just wait. The others nodded in silence. Luo Sifin lit up. Grandpa Zhuge, you mean Dad will live? He should. Clan head is a pawn that Bailey Jingwei now may use in some way. What's certain, though, is that a pawn isn't to be discarded so soon. Zhuge Changfeng frowned and sighed. But Bailey Jingwei is treacherous and cunning. We may guess his next plan, but what of it? We don't even have the strength to hold negotiations. Steward Zhuo was the best at this. Lung Wuchang sighed. If Steward Zhuo was here, clan head would have never been taken. He'd have a way to make the central area suffer for it. The others all nodded their heads, recalling the good old days. Steward Zhuo. Luo Sifin let the words sink in. Is he the one Andy loves? How could he save Dad? Pa! Patting her head just a bit harder, Luo Yunchang held a bitter smile. Her eyes filled with emotion. Yes, the Luo clan would have no problems with him around. Sifin, you may not know, but Steward Zhuo is our first steward and the founder of the Luo Alliance. The first 7 elders all know Steward Zhuo's power back in the day, playing a pivotal role in what the Luo clan is today. Li Jingtian was grave. With clan head's righteous style, the people respect us. But Steward Zhuo commanded with an iron fist, shaking many of us just thinking about it. But more than anything, he has our admiration and reverence. Clan head is a righteous leader, while Steward Zhuo was a tyrant. The Luo Alliance's foundation was laid by Steward Zhuo every step of the way. Without him, there wouldn't be a Luo Alliance. Luo Sifin gasped. Really? Is he that great? I thought he was just Auntie's lover, and so you didn't talk about him to not make her sad. Now I see he was so important to the Luo Alliance, even more than the 7 elders. Not just important. The elders bowed at his coming. Yu Ming finally spoke, recalling his past. In essence, he was the Luo clan's clan head and its darkness. Darkness. Yes, the Luo clan couldn't have grown so much without a dark past. Yu Ming said he is behind it all. He handled and fought everything without qualms or fear. After he left and clan head took the seat, our lives changed. The darkness remained, brought by those 2 old men, but not as heavy and cruel. From dark to light, we developed honor and loyalty, winning popularity. Hey, Yu Ming, I'm the nicest grandpa to Sifin here. Don't just taint me. Yeah, like you haven't seen darkness either. Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wuchang joined, glaring at him. Don't go spilling our secrets to the children. Yu Ming smirked, old yet still playing nice. Look at me. I've always said it openly, I never left the darkness. How could you leave the darkness when you're the head of the Shadow Corps, in charge of intelligence? TCH. The oldies snickered. Yu Ming turned serious. One thing is certain, we must save clan head, not through honor, but the most vile and darkest trick. Old men, bring out all your dirty tricks from ages past, and let's see if we can do it. Take what out? We'd have done it if we had any. Zhuge Changfeng rolled his eyes and sighed. We've been racking our brains and still couldn't find anything usable. It seems only Steward Zhuo could handle Bailey Jingwei. Luo Sifin lit up just then. Steward Zhuo can really save Mom and Dad. If there's anyone in the world that can match Bailey Jingwei and save them, then that's Steward Zhuo. Zhuge Changfeng said, Sifin, 100 years ago in the World War, the Central Area's army, directed by Bailey Jingwei, was invincible. With little choice, the 4 lands made Steward Zhuo their Grand Marshal, turning the whole thing around in 3 moves and crushing Bailey Jingwei's plan. In other words, if there's one that can foil the best minister's plans, that would be the best steward beneath heaven. Luo Sifin jumped out of Luo Yunchang's embrace in excitement, going to Zhuge Changfeng. Grandpa Zhuge, tell me, where is Steward Zhuo now? I'd have gone to find him if I knew. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. We only know that Steward Jua is dead, swallowed by the sea demon 100 years ago. It's unclear if it's true or not. But 100 years came and went without anyone seeing him. Maybe dead. Luo Sifen's hope was dashed as soon as it sprouted. Having just heard of someone that could bring back her parents, the next moment she found out he was dead. What about her parents? Luo Sifen turned forlorn. Tears welling in her eyes, a chuckle reached their ears. Of course it's fake. Steward Jua is alive and well. What? All eyes turned to a girl grinning from ear to ear. Luo Sifen cheered. Auntie Schwanger. Sifen, don't worry, there's hope for your parents yet. She hugged the girl and chuckled. Zhuge Changfeng jumped to his feet, as did the rest of them, cupping their hands. Holy maiden! Schwanger, weren't you cultivating in your homeland? You're back so soon? Luo Yunchang rejoiced and welcomed her with joy. Yunchuang's eyes shone in a mysterious azure light. Yes, I had been training and saw the demise of Alliance leader Luo, but then his saving. So I rushed out to ask about it, only to learn that Dan Qingxin was after him. It was certain death, yet abetted in the end. Among all the people I know, there's only one man that can change fate, and he did it many times to release clan head Luo of his death. Who do you think it can be? Zhuo Fan. Everyone cried out. Then Luo Yunchang turned dully at Luo Sifen. Sifen, didn't you say you scared Dan Qingxin away? Just what exactly happened? Did you see him? Luo Sifen's mind was hit with immense shock. He's the one Annie and everyone calls Steward Jua? Blind Uncle is the first steward of the Luo Alliance? Chapter 1147. Inquire. Chapter 1147. Inquire. Proofreader, Papatonks. What? No way. That blind swordsmith is the first steward and founder of the Luo Alliance. In a gloomy forest, a dozen people walked through the bushes. Long Jianshan cried out once. Luo Sifen explained, staring with wide and dull eyes. It's obvious now why he's so familiar to our alliance and knows everyone. Not afraid of me. Being the grandson of the original elders, he is above even them. Xian Yangyang rolled his eyes, huffing. Please, he didn't need to be the most important in the Luo Alliance to disregard your origins. Not with his strength. Oh, you're right. Recalling how Zhuo Fan repelled the dragon-cleaving Sword King, Long Jianshan's heart sank. Such a peak expert would hardly care about anyone. He must have left since the Luo Alliance was so tiny for him. The Luo Alliance is filled with experts, but none to the level of Sword Kings. Being second best in Western lands is hardly enough to impress this god. Long Jianshan sighed. He stands at the very top and can defeat the entire alliance by himself, so why care about us? Now we're asking for his help, and we're yet to know if he'll accept. Why else then did he hide his true identity? He must not want to be on our side. Pah! A quick palm struck him over the head. Long Jianshan shrank, looking back to see Luo Yunchang staring daggers at him. Brat, what nonsense are you spouting? You know nothing of our founding steward. When we were at our weakest, he did everything for us, without the thought of casting us aside. Now it's no different. Luo Yunchang spat as she set him straight. You think all are like you, selfish and cocky? I'll have to pay your grandfather a visit to get you in shape. Your dad's upright act was a bad influence. Auntie Luo, I was just saying. Why so angry? Long Jianshan's face fell. Dad may be sloppy, but I follow grandfather's example and uphold our clan's honor. Huh! Luo Yunchang laughed, and the others smiled. Luo Sifen glared at him, whispering, Long Jianshan, stop back talking. Steward Jua is very important to Annie. Try to complain about him some more, and see how she'll tear you to pieces. That much. Long Jianshan shivered, sneaking a peek at Luo Yunchang's icy look. Auntie Luo, the blind swordsmith, can't be your man, right? What are you looking at? Feeling his nasty eyes on her, Luo Yunchang could read his mind like an open book, snapping at him. Then she shouted in annoyance, Sifen, are we there yet? Where is that punk? Luo Sifin bobbed her head, not wanting to earn the ire of a woman in menopause, pointing, just up ahead. There's a sword shack where the blind uncle lives. I finally found you, rotten bastard. Luo Yunchang was furious, though the light in her eyes danced with joy. Ignoring Luo Sifin, she rushed forth only to see the place desolate. The rest smiled. Young miss can't wait after 100 years, ha ha ha. The others were just as eager, hurrying over. But as they neared the shack, they found the bamboo place empty, with Luo Yunchang coming out devastated. Sifin, where is he? Auntie. Luo Sifin glanced at the empty place and rushed inside to check better. This isn't right. We've been here twice now, and it was filled with spiritual swords. Where have they all gone? Li Jingtian and the 5 venerables offered. Yeah, when we woke up from our wounds, there were hung spiritual swords everywhere. How come there isn't any now? Humph, isn't it obvious? That bastard scampered off. Does he hate seeing me so much? Luo Yunchang gave a forlorn chuckle. On the verge of crying, she had been worried sick over him for 100 years. Every second of it. Now that she got a clue, what greeted her was a cold and empty place. Luo Yunchang felt her heart breaking. It was no longer a matter of finding Zhuofan, but him avoiding them like the plague. No one could find him. Not while he was running away. Luo Yunchang slumped on the ground, hugging her knees as she sobbed. Did I do anything wrong? Does he hate seeing me so much? Auntie. Luo Sifin had never seen her so devastated and heartbroken. An old hand touched her shoulder. In comfort, Zhuge Changfeng sighed, turning grave. Miss Sifin, what happened then? Are you certain the blind swordsmith is Steward Zhua? And no. Luo Sifin frowned. The 3 were talking while we shooed away. We couldn't hear them and didn't know who he was. Zhuge Changfeng took a deep breath, calculating as he spoke to Li Jingtian. Those 3 are the strongest, while the kids are just in the radiant stage. If they didn't want the kids to hear, then not a word would reach them, not with how large the gap in strength was. Yeah, why would Steward Zhua just let some children eavesdrop on him when he avoids us? Woo! Luo Yunchang only cried harder. That punk, he doesn't want to see me. The others were stumped on how to console the crying miss. But this was not the time for comfort. It was to find Zhuofan to save their head whoosh. Someone flashed before them and bowed, presenting a jade slip to Zhuge Changfeng. Steward Zhuge, there's news from the border. The Sword Star Empire sent a jade slip for Steward Zhuge. A jade slip from the Empire. Zhuge Changfeng squinted. Bailey Jingwei is ready to use clan head. In that case, he must have wanted to speak terms with us. Yes. Zhuge Changfeng agreed with Lung Wuchang. This might be clan head's lifeline. Let's see what trick he's up to. Zhuge Changfeng pondered, then turned to the crying Luo Yunchang. Young miss, Bailey Jingwei wants to talk with us and negotiate clan head's fate. Luo Yunchang raised her red eyes. You mean Bailey Jingwei wants to talk about conditions? Yunhai can return? Yes, we'll see what he wants. It might not be good, but hope still remains. Luo Yunchang wiped her tears and stood up, her tone harsh. Steward Zhuge, you 3 will go with me. Elder Qiu and Sister Shui will follow as well. The rest are to stay here and wait for the punk to come back. Make sure to keep him here. Auntie, will he come? There's nothing here. Humph, regardless of what he does, you are to not leave the place out of your sight. Luo Yunchang shouted, making Luo Sifin flinch in fright. Hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. She wants to tear Steward Zhua apart. Li Jingtian frowned. Young miss, it'll be dangerous going with so few. We must go regardless. Yunhai's life is at stake. At least take more men. Li Jingtian proposed. Zhuge Changfeng denied. Elderly, it'll be fine. Sword Star Empire is filled with experts. If he wanted to hurt us, our numbers wouldn't matter. He has no such intention. Even surrounded, it won't matter. The issue is that we must step into this trap. Li Jingtian sighed and nodded. Take care. Since it's just talk, Bailey Jingwei won't touch us. There's thousands of ways to grab us. Not needing his direct attention. We'll be fine. Zhuge Changfeng smiled, cupping his hands at Li Jingtian. Luo Yunchang took one last long look at the shack and left with a ruthless heart. Just you wait, devil. I'll chase you to the ends of the world if I have to. Chapter 1148, Talk. Chapter 1148, Talk. Proofreader, Papatonks. Luo Yunchang's group left soon after, leaving Luo Sifin sighing and returning to the shack. Their task was to wait for Zhuo Fan's return and ask the founding steward's assistance, though the odds were slim at best. Just as they turned around, inside the shack appeared a table and a youth with covered eyes sitting in a chair next to it, enjoying tea as he talked like they weren't there. Luo Sifin stuttered, "Be blind, uncle." Steward Zhuo. Li Jingtian widened, his eyes turning red as he rushed. In a century had passed since the founding steward seized power. Now this man they all admired was back. The three venerables gushed with excitement. Zhuo Fan raised his head, smiling. "Elderly people, how have you been the past century?" Steward Zhuo, the highest venerable in the Luo alliance, slumped to his feet and cupped his hands. His staunch expression, speaking volumes words couldn't hold. There was also the undying loyalty shining in his eyes, stronger than he showed towards Luo Yunhai, having never seen the venerables so overwhelmed. The kids were now certain he was the one all elders in the Luo alliance called Steward Zhuo. It was obvious now just how much effect he had over it. Bigger than her father ever had. It was seen from how the three venerables behaved that they did not plead for the clan head, but showed their heartfelt respect by kneeling, like he was the alliance leader instead. But how can this be? A steward from a century ago may be tough, but to think he can overshadow the clan head? Isn't this undermining the Lord and staging a power play? Yet, even with all that power, he still left, leaving all that clout behind. Luo Sifin felt she understood why her father and Annie trusted him so, and didn't forget him after all these years. Long Jianshan and Xian Yinyang were shell-shocked. They knew of the venerables' quirky characters and pride. They'd never shown such respect unless it was someone stronger than them. It was jarring to see the stubborn old coots, so sincere. They aren't like this, even around the alliance leader. The two kids found Zhuo Fan even more of a mystery. He looked like a fancy scholar now and enjoyed tea. With no air of savagery, Luo Sifin turned her head, but Zhuo Fan stopped her from doing anything. "Girl, where are you going?" "I'm going after Auntie. They wanted to meet you, and should be close still. I'll call them back." Luo Sifin said. Quickly Zhuo Fan shook his head. "No need. I don't want to see them. That's why I was hiding." "Why?" "For I'm waiting for the plan to start." Zhuo Fan sighed. "I never wanted to drag you into this, but Bailey Jingwei chose you, and I have no choice but to make use of you. Please don't take it to heart, letting you suffer a bit." "Suffer?" Luo Sifin's lips shook, running to his side. "Blind UNC, dash. Uncle, though, it doesn't matter, but Dad and Mom are about to be killed. Please save them. Worry not, they'll all be fine. You just need to endure a bit longer and take a bit more suffering." Patting her head, Zhuo Fan smiled and walked out of the shack, reaching the three kneeling venerables. "When young Miss returns, tell everyone that the Luo alliance is just like the Luo clan in the past when facing the Sword Star Empire. To win, you must throw away the unnecessary and return to the darkness. Remember, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and just ignore everything else." Zhuo Fan was gone. Everyone cried, "Steward Zhuo." No amount of shouting brought him back. They were looking perplexed. Steward Zhuo had clearly shown himself to give him advice, but what could it mean? A week later, at the border between the Empire and Western lands, Luo Yunchang and her group walked through a thick forest, and towards a worn house a man in black was waiting for them in a bow. The honored Luo alliance guests. "Yes." Luo Yunchang spoke, coldly. "I am Luo Yunchang, the young miss of Luo alliance. I am now handling its affairs." "You honor us, young Miss Luo. Clan head has been waiting a long time." Bowing again, The man opened the door and gestured. Luo Yunchang took bold steps inside. With the rest following, Suit the door shut, plunging the room in darkness. This did not work to unnerve the group, keeping calm. Clap. With a few sharp claps, fire sprung to life, revealing a smiling youth in lavish clothes, patronizing. I've heard of the Luo clan that prides itself in its military heritage. Now that I see you in person, I see it rings true. For even their dame to have such mighty flair around her, I am in awe. Your Sword Star Empire Prime Minister, Bailey Jingwei, at your service, young Miss Luo. The man gave a bow and gestured to a chair. Please. Luo Yunchang sat while the others stood behind her. Bailey Jingwei sat as well, men in black at his back releasing mighty auras. Prime Minister, what words of wisdom do you have for me? I could never teach someone like you, only finding my duty in notifying young Miss about one small detail. Luo Yunchang got straight to the point, while Bailey Jingwei smiled, giving her a fine piece of paper, accused of killing a valuable official from the central area. Your brother is held for execution by heavenly punishment a month from now in the imperial capital as a warning to others. Young Miss, as the only relative of Alliance leader Luo, remembered to take back his body. Ha ha ha. Luo Yunchang glared hard, fumming. What are you planning? Nothing, just upholding the law. I'm only doing my duty. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei sipped his tea with a cruel smile. Luo Yunchang darkened, with Zhuge Changfeng speaking. Prime Minister, let's be frank here. You've been employing subtle and convoluted tricks, and it can't be just to take the lives of our clan head. Steward Zhuge, I take it. It's an honor. Bailey Jingwei chuckled. They say the Luo Alliance's 3 great minds are beyond margin. One for diplomacy, one for internal affairs, and one for the military. Their names shook the western lands. I've long wanted to meet you, especially Steward Zhuge, a former prime minister such as I. It's truly a blessing to meet at last. I'm hardly of such worth. Prime Minister Bailey is the one that shakes the world. No, there's no need for modesty. With that guy having taken power and foiled my plans, I still hold him in great esteem. Bailey Jingwei squinted, showing his vile nature. With all 3 of you here, allow me to see your skills. I signed the execution order, and it's been made public throughout the lands. There's no taking it back now. So, how do you plan on saving your clan head? Ha ha ha, since it's a diplomatic matter, we'll have Sir Zhuge go first. The 3 exchanged glances, growing solemn. Bailey Jingwei was taunting them. Zhuge Changfeng smirked and said, Prime Minister, what would you mean by that? Clan head hardly has any worth for your nation. Must he be put down? Please feel free to come forth with any request you may have. Prime Minister. Bribery? Trying to gauge my limits? No, our offer is sincere, only wanting clan head survival. But I want his head. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. Everyone clenched fists, glaring at him with a puzzled look. Didn't this guy ask us here to state terms? What's he playing at? Chapter 1149. You have no right. Chapter 1149. You have no right. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Hilarious, Prime Minister. You would take the head of a prince for the head of our clan head? Isn't that a bit cheap? It's unlike your glorious style from before. Glorious? Ha ha ha. Since you know of it, then you understand that after suffering defeat because of it, I'll never take such a stance again. Bailey Jingwei mocked. I'm now very petty in fact, down to the last spirit stone. The prince is nothing, no better than a pig having just above average heritage. The rest is wastage. While Alliance leader Luo is in the prime of his youth, his order respected, his word revered. I find giving a pig over for a future leader the deal of a lifetime. Zhuge Changfeng hesitated, and Lung Wuchang stepped in. Prime Minister, why have you called us here? Isn't it to negotiate? Sir Lung, yes. Bailey Jingwei chuckled. I heard Sir Lung's unwanted contriver title, eyes piercing into the hearts of the enemy. For you to say I called you here for negotiations, then what would my terms be? If you can say what's on my mind, I might just go with it after all, ha ha ha. Lung Wuchang frowned then smiled. How could I fathom Sir Bailey's machinations? Sir can go ahead and say it and let us weigh them. Sir Lung sure is sneaky, probing me like Sir Zhuge did. But I won't fall for it, Bailey Jingwei snickered. If Sir Lung can't guess, then the next one. If none of you three's answers please me, then I've only called you here to inform you of when to pick up the body. Bye. Lung Wuchang's face darkened. Bailey Jingwei was toying with them, but they could not just leave, not when clan head safety was at stake. And they had to humor him. Sir Bailey, you can't mean for the entire Luo alliance to give itself to the Empire. They all grimaced. It was the same as betraying Western lands and leaving it without hope at survival. Oh, how interesting! Bailey Jingwei's eyes lit up and nodded, showing a queer smile at the grave Lung Wuchang. Sir Lung, you said it? So tell me, is it high or low? Lung Wuchang frowned. He guessed by now Bailey Jingwei's aim at getting Luo Yunhai was to make the rest follow his whims. But by doing that, that would mean ruining all the work they had in building Luo alliance in the Western lands over the last century. Honor and righteousness would vanish into thin air, earning everyone's scorn as the Luo alliance moved to the central area. And with the power established in the central area already and them having no sword king, they would be marginalized, hardly even able to make ends meet. It was no different than setting yourself up. Saving clan head was important, but over such a steep condition, they needed to reconsider the rest of the people in the alliance. Bailey Jingwei chuckled at their worries. Sir Lung, relax. There's no way the ruination of the clan is worth Luo Yunhai's life. Moreover, the central area has run out of space, large as it is. Settling the Luo alliance would only bring more trouble than help, ha ha ha. Who? Everyone eased a breath in relief. Had Bailey Jingwei mentioned this term, even Luo Yunchang would have had to abandon Luo Yunhai to keep the family name next. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Sir Yuming is a serviceman of the Luo clan. Try guessing my intention. Say it right, and the deal is sealed. Yuming pondered. Prime Minister wants Western lands, but holding alliance leader hostage can't be to have the alliance take such responsibility. Maybe you intend to have our borders slackened? Go on. Bailey Jingwei lit up in excitement. Yuming continued after a pause. Luo Alliance has been in charge of defending Western lands for years. Prime Minister Bailey wants Western lands, thus must control its defenses. All right, I'll release the defense plans and they raise weakness to the Prime Minister, making it easy to strike. But this deal is a one-time thing. Marvelous. Bailey Jingwei shouted and slapped the table. Luo Yunchang said, That's your term. No. Bailey Jingwei shouted with the same joy, eyeing the great minds with scorn. Just how on earth did you even contend with Shuo Fan is beyond me? Can't you see what I want? Like I said, the order is given, and all lands know it now. Changing it halfway will question my authority. You have to give me a very good reason to release him for that. Then what do you want? For the Luo Alliance to cooperate in helping take Western lands. Bailey Jingwei spoke solemnly. What? They all gasped. Work together to take Western lands? That's worse than death. That's a revolt, betrayal, regicide. Forget about the Luo Alliance's righteous name. It could never raise its hands against its old friends in the Western lands. Luo Yunchang's face twitched. No, absolutely not. Yunhai would never agree to this. He values honor above all else. Learning the Luo Alliance he nurtured turned into a shiv to stab his friends would break him. Young Miss Luo, you're wrong. In this world, everyone is at each other's throat. By not killing them, they'll kill you. You can't accept striking them, but they would not hesitate to do it. Bailey Jingwei smiled and worked his charm. Remember how Alliance leader Luo ended up in my custody? Discarded, cast out by the whole of Western lands. You're too strong, and the leaders disdain you, wanting you out of the picture, missing only an excuse. Sure, I used a cheap trick, but if Western lands had protected you, I'd have never gotten Alliance leader Luo. In other words, casting blame was just the spar for the ones who truly want the end of the Luo alliance are those bastards in Western lands. Yet you're still thinking it over? Luo Yunchang wavered, Bei Li Jingwei straightened and mocked. Alliance leader Luo is now with me, and everyone knows I have you in my palm. You really think Western lands will trust you? Those old bastards know better than anyone just how dangerous any faction whose leader is taken hostage is. But with your clout, they can't touch you. Yet, though they will wear you down, turning you into a shell of your former selves. By then, you'll be nothing but dead meat. We may lose our power, but we can't lose our conscience. Do you even have it? Do they have it? Bei Li Jingwei sneered. I still have Alliance leader Luo with me, set to die a month from now. And when I up and postpone it, what do you think the Western lands will think? They'll believe we struck a deal and would see you as spies. You could say anything you want at that point, for your old friends would still point their blades at you, the same ones you hate to kill now. Your honor would be stained all the same, turned into wretched traitors. All shuddered, looking at Bei Li Jingwei with hatred and fear. How cruel! Bei Li Jingwei chuckled at their obvious thoughts. Don't look at me like that. I'm doing you a favor here. You just have to help me take Western lands, and you'll be its rulers. It's only natural. Alliance leader Luo doesn't need to die, and I'll declare it to be an elaborate scheme. We will work together to unify the lands and reach the top. You'll then be made high officials and not traitors, entering written in history books as winners. In short, your betrayal will be washed away. Everyone had long faces. Luo Yunchang shook all over. Prime Minister Bailey, would you allow our young Miss time to consider a reply? Zhuge Changfeng proposed. Left with no other choice, Bei Li Jingwei nodded. Sure, I'll be here 10 more days awaiting the good news. Though better work fast, for your alliance leader is a goner in a month. We know. Zhuge Changfeng nodded and helped Luo Yunchang out. Bei Li Jingwei had one last thing to say, though. Masterminds, did you really fight with Zhuge Fan? They flinched. You never had the right. Bei Li Jingwei mocked. The three darkened, opting to leave in oppressive silence. Chapter 1150. All set. Chapter 1150. All set. Proofreader, Papatonks. Blasted Bei Li Jingwei. He was actually testing us all this time. Curses. He was looking for our own limit, while we didn't find anything about his. A real piece of work. The clear moon shone down on the gloomy trees as a group walked hastily among them, with Lang Wuchang and Yuming the only ones complaining. Zhuge Changfeng's side in the end. All right, neither of us could figure him out or how big his game is. He now has Alliance leader with him and plans on squeezing him for all his worth. Preying on our affection for Alliance leader and the fate of the entire Luo alliance. He's right, we've fallen in disfavor with the leaders. If he keeps using Alliance leader for his own agenda, then it's only a matter of time before our own people turn on us and give us a miserable death. Yeah, living is for fame and fortune. To die for loyalty and honor isn't a bad fate either. But to die with scorn, who would be willing to go down like that? Maybe he's right, that our only hope is the Empire. He took our clan head and blocked all other options. Bei Li Jingwei is too damn good. Lang Wuchang sighed, but then turned to the worried Luo Yunchang. Young Miss must be hurting the most. It all falls on her shoulders, whether to live or die. Maybe she decided to give up her brother, plunging the clan in misery and filling the alliance with shame. Even a man couldn't take such pressure, let alone a woman. Everyone frowned harder. They took 3 days to return, back to the shack. Luo Sifin rushed at their sight, saying, Auntie, Grandpa Zhuge, Steward Zhuge came. What? Luo Yunchang cried out, a glimmer of hope piercing through the dark despair. She burst into the shack, searching all over for the one she longed for years and years. She was under too much weight and needed someone to shoulder it. But any search proved to be in vain. Finding no trace of him after dozens of searches, Li Jingtian came with a bow. Young miss, there's no point. Steward Zhuge left moments after he came. Left? Luo Yunchang's hope plunged into the darkest abyss of sorrow. Why would he leave? Doesn't he know how much I need him to help me with this problem? How could he just leave? Luo Yunchang burst out into tears. Zhuge Changfeng came next to elderly and spoke. Did he say something? He left a message for you. What message? It's Li Jingtian recounted Zhuo Fan's words. The three minds frowned in thought. Think of the Luo alliance as the past Luo clan? Abandon everything for the darkness? Steward Zhuo means. Young miss, how was the past Luo clan? We only came later and don't know. Zhuge Changfeng asked, sniffing. Luo Yunchang wiped her tears and spat. How else could it be? In ruins and hunted. We were at risk of starving to death. What did Steward Zhuo do? He had the skill to find allies everywhere, trying every trick to get them. Sometimes he even got the leaders of Veiled Dragon Pavilion so confused that they agreed to bring us resources. I warned him that this isn't right, since they're allies. But how could they be allies when they were far stronger? They weren't respectful towards the Luo clan, but towards Zhuo Fan. His guile was endless, scamming his own allies, saying all the same that he'd pay back. Scamming allies, I see. The three minds nodded, grinning from ear to ear. Zhuge Changfeng said, Steward Zhuo saw through Bailey Jingwei's plan and told us we can't handle anything, so might as well give up trying. Return to darkness to find survival, throwing away even honor and righteousness while only thinking of ourselves. As a house divided goes against our survival, raising unrest among us in Western lands and in so doing the same thing that Bailey Jingwei does. Luo Yunchang asked. That villain is saying to agree with Bailey Jingwei and strike Western lands together? Since when is he on the enemy's side and asking us to surrender? Ha ha ha. Steward Zhuo is prideful and arrogant. Bailey Jingwei lost once, so it's easy to make him lose again. Bailey Jingwei won't soon forget Steward Zhuo either. These two mortal enemies would never join hands. Steward Zhuo must have a different plan in store. There's no harm in following his wishes. We'll hardly lose anything. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. Bailey Jingwei gave us a single way out, a suicidal one, while Steward Zhuo has his plan with it. Sniffing twice, Luo Yunchang's eyes burned with anger. But Zhuo Fan's answer soothed her worried heart, bringing tranquility. Fine. Tell Bailey Jingwei we accept. Sifin, don't worry. Since that wretched man has a plan, your parents will be fine. Luo Sifin blinked clueless at her aunt and her blind faith in the man, inspiring trust in her as well. Blind uncle, my parents' lives are in your hands. In an icy wasteland, a lone figure trekked through the heavy snow, the blistering winds flinging the ends of the eye cover whoosh. A blue figure pooped in front, cupping his hands. Big brother, you're here at last. I've missed you to death. Changqing, it's been a while. Zhuo Fan raised his head as he faced the best disciple in northern lands. Ouyang Changqing, it was a close-guarded secret that this northern lands expert was actually one of Devil Palace's 3 emissaries, Moon Devil Emissary due to Moon Devil Emissary's position and fame he had from his real identity. Devil Palace didn't need to infiltrate the northern lands over the past century. Already having it under its thumb, Zhuo Fan patted his shoulder. Activate the barrier. I'm going to North Sea. You're entering seclusion again, big brother. Yeah, Bailey Jingwei has made his move, and I need to seize the moment. Zhuo Fan said, I'll be aiming for Genesis stage this time. If I don't come out in time, besides following the plan, I ask that you look after the Luo clan as well. Ouyang Changqing nodded, showing a confident smile. Don't worry, big brother, I'll handle it. But weren't you against getting them involved? Devil Palace never made contact with them all these years. Why would they? I've been waiting for Bailey Jingwei to pick his pawn from Western lands. But it turns out to be Luo clan. Since there's no way out, I can only let them trudge deeper and just watch over them a little, that's all. Zhuo Fan sighed in defeat. Ouyang Changqing nodded, making a sign to open the barrier, and the two stepped into Sea Bright Sect. Behind it was where Zhuo Fan was going to enter seclusion. In the North Sea housing the sea demon, nothing, could disturb his training with the sea demon, keeping watch. Perhaps none in even the sacred domain could enjoy such lavish treatment. In the Thunder Pavilion of the imperial capital, Bailey Jingwei was grave as he walked into the range of those heavy rumbling, looking at the streaking lightning with sharp eyes. "Patriarch, I'm back." Bailey Jingwei smiled. "My mistake had caused you such heavy wounds, cutting your boundless life to a mere 100 years. For that, I felt guilt crushing me. We didn't know what to do while you entered Thunder Pavilion in seclusion. It has been 100 years now. In your state, doing anything could be life-threatening, but we know no one can change your mind. But having not come out this past 100 years, rumors go around saying you've passed away, inciting further unrest within the Empire. Rest assured that with me here, the Empire will be safe no matter what. All is set as I begin cleaning up all the dregs. Patriarch, no matter if you're still healthy or gone. Watch as Sword Star Empire unites the lands and roots out all traitors." Bailey Jingwei gave one last bow to the rumbling lightning, shouting his last words and leaving with resolve in his eyes. A boom echoed out, shaking the world as Thunder Pavilion crumbled. A huge thunderstorm exploded in the heavens above, with all the lightning gathering soon after into a 300-meter thunder sword, unleashing deadly power. Bailey Jingwei shuddered. Looking back, "Patriarch, you're out!" Chapter 1151, Coordination. Chapter 1151, Coordination. Proofreader, Papatonks. Sect Leaderling, right this way. In the boundless snowfall, a dozen people traced the sky. A middle-aged man with a split mustache held a smile as he sucked up to the elder next to him. "This time we caught a Central Area spy. Bailey Jingwei must be itching to crush us." The elder frowned. "I still thought it would be one of his envoys to settle things. Didn't he go after Devil Palace so far? Why can't he just lay his ambition to rest for our lands and instead send more spies?" Sect Leader Boo, it's thanks to your cautious nature in not letting your guard down against Central Area all these years. Putting you in charge of Northern Lands defenses was the right choice. See bright Sect Leaderling, you're too much. It's the Sun Sea Sect's responsibility. Ha ha ha, the middle-aged man laughed in pride, due to Bu Xingyun saving the four lands leaders at the right time. He had gained Ling Yuntian's trust the past century. Northern lands, 5 sects, besides Sea Bright Sect's domain, were all left to the Sun Sea Sect's supervision, which meant more than half of the land's matters. Adding to that the fact they were close to the border, he also dealt with its defenses. Sun Sea Sect's track record was impeccable the last century, with no slip-up, making Ling Yuntian trust him even more. Bu Xingyun had now run to Ling Yuntian to apologize for finding a Central Area spy infiltrated in their home, taking full blame for the lax watch. The spy was also under interrogation, and that he held important information about Bailey Jingwei's actions. Ling Yuntian requested to examine it at once. Bu Xingyun took Sect Leader Ling to this frozen wasteland, where he found the spy to look for more clues, but what welcomed them was a mass of white in every direction. Yet no spy. Ling Yuntian frowned. "Sect Leader Bu, where is he?" "Yes, where?" Bu Xingyun looked around skeptically. "Ha ha ha, Sect Leader Ling, isn't the spy you're after right here?" Whoosh! 3 powerful men jumped in front of them. One wore a sinister smile as he glared. Another held a wine gourd with a red nose, taking a sip now and then, and the last was a cold youth with an empty sleeve, drifting in the winds. "Bailey Yun, what are you doing here?" Ling Yuntian gasped. "Why hasn't there been any word that a Sword King crossed the Northern Lands border?" Bam! Ling Yuntian was sent flying as he left a trail of blood. Behind him, Bu Xingyun's voice dripped with malice. "That's because I let them in without being seen. Ha ha ha." "You!" Unable to believe the betrayal, Ling Yuntian gnashed his teeth. Choking on words, Bu Xingyun cackled. "Ling Yuntian, I never liked you since a century ago. Why must the Sea Bright sect be the leader of the 5 sects? Why should we listen to you? I'm a sect leader just as well. So why should we scrape like dogs, catering to your whims? Humph! Weren't you so eager to know the spy among the four lands? Well, you guessed it, me. You! Precisely. A shame you old coot thought yourself so clever, letting me handle the search. I just had to find a scapegoat, and that's that. How can a dotard be worthy of leading northern lands? Ha ha ha, Bushingyan mocked Ling Yuntian was outraged. Why save us all those years ago? You sure are delusional. You think I wanted to? Bushingyan scoffed. If it weren't to save the Sword Star Empire's backbone, the Patriarch, to give the order and stop the assault, I wouldn't even have tried looking for you. Here's the cold, hard truth. There was no other way. Prime Minister Bailey needed you alive to hold talks. Ling Yuntian's face twitched, his heart a mess. It was all Bailey Jingwei. But the old men were too blind to see the truth, even treating this vile beast as their savior. Handing northern land safety to him, Ling Yuntian's heart was torn in regret. Did Bali Jingwei also plan for Bali Yu to destroy your sect? Just so you could slip into the Sea Bright sect? Ah well. Bu Xingyun's face shook. Blushing from being put on the spot, Bailey Yun laughed. Ha ha ha. Sect leader Ling, you're wrong there. Only recently we acted and learned of sect leader Bu, with Prime Minister Bailey the only one aware of his identity all this time. That was a total misunderstanding, the Sun Sea sect taunting you, and ended up being put in their place. Even though the Sun Sea sect was fine, sect leader Bu entering the Sea Bright sect is only logical. What's the use of such a huge sacrifice? His mission, then, was to break your barrier. But Zhuo Fan made a mess of things. Ling Yuntian understood, while Bu Xingyun was ashamed, feeling overwhelmed each time he recalled that rotten luck of the past, so he switched topics, not wanting to face it. Sword Kings, Ling Yuntian is caught now. Should we begin the Prime Minister's plan? Right. Prime Minister aims for speed, a swift victory. Bailey Yuyun nodded. With Ling Yuntian hostage, the Sea Bright sect is headless. We will straight up raid Sea Bright sect and finish it. When it falls in our hands, the other sects are nothing by themselves. Don't forget the guardian experts in the Sea Bright sect, the Snow Peak Four Elders, and Ouyang Chongqing as well. We know. That's why there's 3 Sword Kings handling this operation. Bailey Yuyun glanced at the one-armed youth. Jingtian, you beat Ouyang Chongqing in the last war. You might have lost an arm, but he shouldn't pose a problem. I and Wine Sword Immortal will handle the elders. We'll help you once we finish them off. Bailey Jingtian shook his head. No need, I can handle it. That settles it. Sect Leader Bu, get your men ready to welcome our army. Work with them to take down northern lands. Then you'll be its king. Right. Bu Xingyun's eyes shone as he cupped his hand, fooling Sea Bright sect disciples into opening the barrier. The Sword Kings brought their central area's elites inside and started killing. The howls and cries rang across the sky as everyone ran for their lives. The Sword Kings searched and searched. Yet there was no sign of Ouyang Chongqing nor the 4 elders. They were just gone in the eastern lands Shangguan clan. Savages stormed it, led by a woman, and Sword King Feiyun by her side, seeing the ghost town. Shangguan Feiyun demanded, Manyang, where is everyone? Why is it empty? I'd also like to know. The woman gnashed her teeth. My son's killers have slipped away. Did you get too eager and tip their scouts off on your coming here? Shangguan Yulin rolled his eyes, then glared. Shangguan Manyang, you think I'm luckless as Shangguan Yulin, full of disappointment? I led my men for a raid. They could listen to the wind and still couldn't scatter so fast. What of you then? Did you double-cross us? I heard Yenner has been close to you for the past century, and you are quite trusting of her. She just feels guilty for my loss. Shangguan Manyang raged. They killed my son. I'll have revenge, even if I have to search the farthest depths. Second cousin, you have to help me. Annoyed, Shangguan Feiyun waved her off with scorn. Don't let what you see blind you. This is a national matter. Stop thinking only of revenge. We need to take eastern lands. Guard, send word that the Shangguan clan is empty and that the eastern lands are headless, so the army can march in. We'll coordinate, and we can take down the eastern lands in a week. Yes. A man bowed and was off to send his report. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes shone with excitement. I'm the king of the eastern lands at last. The same occurred in southern lands, with the Murong clan being overrun by an army led by the dragon, cleaving Sword King. He then worked with the outside forces to sweep the entire southern lands. Bailey Jingwei's plan to cut the head was highly effective. Their inside men were in charge of the border, letting Sword King slink in with a crack force. They reached the heart of the territory where the command was. By taking them out, the rest were stragglers powerless to resist, and since it was only to handle one group, the attack force could be kept minimal, helping at hiding its movements. By coordinating with the outside forces, they spread out from the inside. Taking down all resistances, this made the border defense pointless, as 3 lands fell practically overnight. The western lands were alone. Chapter 1152, Devil Palace's Actions. Chapter 1152, Devil Palace's Actions. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh! 1 white and 1 black figure landed in a valley, the exalted double dragons looking at the distant wooden house. Exalted Hay Ran looked bleak. A report said Luo Alliance's young miss made contact with Bailey Jingwei here. The source is good, so it must be true. Exalted by May nodded. We've taken harsh actions, but it's still a shame that the Luo Alliance would take such a path. For Luo Yinhai, they'd even side with Bailey Jingwei and betray the western lands. Regardless, there's no tolerance for betrayal. Let's see what they have to say when they're caught red-handed. Exalted Hay Ran stared in front. The door to the house opened, with Luo Yunchang peeking her head out and looking around. She made a sign to make a hole for her to slip through, followed by Zhuge Changfeng and the rest. They made sure to close the seal back. Exalted Hay Ran's words dripped with hatred. They must have something to hide, for even have a barrier to be in place. Humph! The house is beyond suspicious. The central area's spy must be inside. I agree. Let's go and catch him. Exalted by May shot forth, with Exalted Hay ran behind Whoosh. The 2 blocked Luo Yunchang's group as they left. Startling them, this only worked to cement their doubts. Luo Yunchang held a bright smile. Exalted, you gave us a shock appearing out of nowhere, ha ha ha. Of course you'd never think we'd come, since you didn't want your evil plan to come to light. Exalted Hay Ran scorned Luo Yunchang's eyes rolled around in confusion. Why does Sir Exalted mean? I don't understand. Then let me make it perfectly clear. Exalted by May spoke sternly. Your brother is in the hands of the enemy, so you wanted to make a deal with them and sell out western lands for Luo Yunhai's life. Am I right so far? This house must have central area's spy. Luo Yunchang's mouth shook, but then she snapped, raving like a banshee from hell. Yeah, I want Yunhai back alive no matter the price, even your precious western lands. Can you blame me? My brother had toiled hard for western lands, loyal and honorable. Now that a crime was pinned on him, you didn't do crap letting the enemy take him. Now you show up accusing me of selling out western lands? You sold out my brother first. Luo Yunchang, you're narrow-minded. The central area framed Luo Yunhai, not us. For the good of western lands, he honorably gave his life. And what do? You disgrace his noble sacrifice. Would he be happy to be rescued like this? You have no brother, so how can you tell he won't be glad to be back? And another thing, his honor and decency don't mean he has to kill himself for some fools like yourselves. Stop trying to tie him down with honor and righteousness. The Luo clan's noble and righteous character is within our heart and not medals on our chests. When honor becomes our clan's shackle, our unjust crime, that will be the day we will switch tactics, laying waste to everything in sight. I won't give a rat's ass about the western lands people. Anything to get my brother back. You can survive, but we can't? Luo Yunchang laid out all the pain and sorrow in her heart. Exalted by May held up his hand in fury. I'm not here to waste words on some petty woman. I have come to catch the central area spy, and you all will be coming to Double Dragon Manor, as well to show all of Western lands the truth." Exalted by May went to the door and shouted, "Listen up, whoever you are, come out at once, or I'll make you come out in pain." Ho, Western lands exalted are so feisty. Anyone can take the throne with no real contender, I see. You two have to work together to fight a Sword King, but are worth nothing in the central area, while in Western lands you strut like kings. Western lands is a lost cause, ha ha ha. Ding! The sounds of zither were heard as harsh words came out. The Exalted's heart sank, turning grave. Who are you?" The zither became louder, and the wooden house exploded. With sword energy shooting at the two worked as one against such onslaught, putting all their power in front to resist. But more swords remained, slicing forward and straight into the heavens, making them rumble. 7 notes, obscure sword. The two cried out, "Zither, Sword King." Lu Mubai. The music became mellow as Lu Mubai smiled, playing the zither. But his smile held disdain. "You flatter me. What happened to your earlier demands? Didn't you ask me to come out, or I'll know pain? Ha ha, well here I am. How will you make me suffer, I wonder?" The two shook in silence. The spy they were after turned out to be a damn Sword King. Fighting together would only end up in a draw. Unable to take him down, Luo Yunchang, you have some nerve to bring a Sword King into the Western lands. Do you not realize the risk? Exalted by May glared, "What have you done?" Luo Yunchang's rose an eyebrow. Sneering zither, Sword King smiled. As Sword King, all acts have heavy implications. I have came here not to squabble, but for you too. Be nice and I, ha ha ha. Just you. The two scoffed as they showed all they had and more. Zither, Sword King said, "Oh, not just me, with the Luo clan's help as well. Since I came in, others followed, ha ha ha. To be frank, I brought 1,000,000 hardened soldiers deep into your home to raid Double Dragon Manor. Once it falls, the Western lands are headless. Easy pickings for the 10 million army outside as we coordinate to take down Western lands. This is Prime Minister Bailey's plan to immobilize the head. How long do you think it will take? A week? Maybe less? What?" Exalted double dragons cried out in shock, having the time to curse Luo Yunchang. "You dumb broad! You doomed us all." The Exalted ran for the Double Dragon Manor, hoping to preserve Double Dragon Manor strength before the plan succeeded and assemble the Western lands to defend. Zither, Sword King, watched them go. Just as a raging golden fires blocked their path, another Sword King. The two's hearts sank, finding before them someone familiar. "You." Ultimate Clarity Sex Yi Lin, at your service. His eyes shone with golden flickers as Yi Lin exploded with terrible power of Zither, Sword King's level. "Exalted, it's been a while. If you were wondering, I was the one who leaked information about the Luo clan having secret talks here." The Exalted glanced at Zither, Sword King behind, and at Yi Lin in front, knowing they were set up, and fear crept in. "You drew us out here to hold us, and let Bailey Jingwei succeed. That's Prime Minister Bailey's plan." Zither, Sword King, snickered. The Exalted were in despair, turning to Yi Lin in confusion. "You've been gone for 100 years. How did you end up helping Sword Star Empire again?" "Exalted, I've never done that." "Why stop us then?" "It's the will of Devil Palace, Lord." Yi Lin grinned. "I'll come clean. I am one of Devil Palace's 3 emissaries, the Sun Devil Emissary. And this is Devil Palace's action, independent of Bailey Jingwei." The Exalted shuddered, their eyes dazed with doubts. Blast it, Bailey Jingwei wasn't enough. Now we have Devil Palace stepping in. The largest underground force and the largest known force act at once. And for what exactly? Chapter 1153, Capital in Turmoil. Chapter 1153, Capital in Turmoil. Proofreader, Papatonks. Who? It was a pitch-black night, with not even the stars and bright moon out to shed some light in this abyss. The only signs were the faint candles on both sides of a valley. In neat rows this was a perfect night for murder. For violence, a man wearing a black robe with stars on his back shivered under it. Betraying his mood, there was a huge crowd in front, all wearing black robes. They hung their heads in silence, like eerie ghosts, with only the wind whistling and the candlelights flickering. A cup appeared in the man's hands as he raised it above in respect. Darkness comes and the sword star wanes. The devils rise under the palace, lords lead. Devil Palace will replace the empire, establishing a new world order. Roar! The crowd raised their right and roared 3 times, silence soon returning. The Sword Star Empire's armies are split in 4. Their core is defenseless, the best chance for us to seize the imperial capital. The man turned grave. Cut the head and the rest will follow. With imperial capital ours, the empire will be in chaos, paving the way for our rise. The world will be ours. The plans unchanged, attack when needed and block when explained. I offer this cup to the heavens. May our effort bear fruit. He drank the cup and smashed it to pieces. The group had their own cups ready. They're toasting a rumble. For our efforts and the unstoppable devils. Bang. All smashed their cups afterward. Their eyes shining with battle lust. Devil Palace was coming into the light to usher in a brave new world. Star Devil Emissary, will the Dharma Kings be joining? A thin man in front raised his hand. The Star Devil Emissary glanced at him coldly. Since when did Devil Palace have to answer to you? Shrinking, the man was silenced, with only his eyes shifting around. Disobedient fool! Star Devil Emissary said, worry not, people, we have complete confidence in success. From our intelligence, Bailey Jingwei had sent some sword kings in the lead of an army each to take the heart of every other land, while the rest would provide support from the borders. There's no one guarding the central area. With our strength, taking imperial capital will be a piece of cake. There's no use of doubt, not when the devils are sure to win. Devils will win. Devils will win. The crowd went wild as they roared, their battle spirit aflame, a sharp contrast from the eerie silence before the Star Devil Emissary gestured. Move out! With one last howl, the crowd went quiet, moving in the darkness like hunters, precise and quick boom. The tranquil imperial capital suddenly boomed an hour later as their gates were splintered. The black robes formed neat ranks as they stormed the imperial palace. The patrolling guard started and moved to stop the tide. But the black robes didn't have just numbers, but also strength. With 10,000 in the Genesis stage and 1,000 at peak Genesis stage, the guards stood no chance against them. Blown away to bloody pieces, their screams echoing in the night, many vital cities, tactical locations, and trade centers of the empire suffered the same fate. The empire was crippled, blocking any means of even calling for help. By the looks of it, 3 days would be enough to destroy it completely. The higher one went. The harder the fall, cut the head before the rest. Devils, kill all royalty and officials. Destroy them so they'll never see the light of day. The Star Devil Emissary's robe fluttered in the harsh winds as he stepped on corpses and bloody ground. Going for the imperial palace and giving orders, he knew they were all valuable officers of the empire, and just one of them slipping away would mean bringing reinforcements. Before he got to the imperial palace, they had to purge and remove such risk. Slaughter began with a touch of screaming as they went door to door, and leaving no lavish manor unstained with blood. The devils looked possessed with their bloodshot eyes, wanting nothing but death as they exacted judgment even to 5-year-olds. As thugs, they had to act like it and not leave anything to chance or future. No one liked violence, but no one could deny how effective it was. There was no resistance in the face of such brutality. Cries and shrieks came from all over as the imperial capital started to burn. It was hell. Wu Randong looked up with a smile, but then it slipped away. How nice it would be if it's like this, but it's merely for my own amusement. Boom! A sudden surge of mighty power engulfed the skies, followed by blinding lightning webbing the clouds. SS. All of imperial capital gasped in shock. Sword King, Russell. Then the rain of blades came, striking down at the Devil Palace disciples, pulverizing most of them, while leaving others to howl from the missing limb. Devil Palace, you're here at last. A cold voice came from above as a pair of cold eyes stared down on them and sent fear into their core. Frigid reign, Sword King, Bali Yu? Emissary, they have a Sword King. Will the Dharma Kings come? All pleaded with Wu Randong for help. Wu Randong was stunned as well, then gnashed his teeth and barked, "Retreat!" Leaving already? Think again, ha ha ha. The sinister cackle came as they turned tail, only to find the gate sealed with elite soldiers, led by Bailey Jingwei himself. Bailey Jingwei smiled. One of Devil Palace's 3 emissaries? Ha ha ha. Sorry, but the same move won't work on me. You made a mess of things last time while I was away. Such a mistake I won't ever make again. Sword Kings are supposed to be attacking the 4 lands. Why is one still around? Wu Randong stared, then mocked. Bailey Jingwei, what use is one Sword King? Our uprising isn't just in the Imperial Palace. We may lose here, but other cities will fall. Your empire will be crippled beyond your imagination. Bailey Jingwei nodded. The empire's military, trade, and transportation will be damaged, along with who knows what else you might destroy. But what makes you think I haven't taken precautions for those areas as well? Wu Randong flinched. Prime Minister, my task is complete and I have returned. A thin guy next to Wu Randong walked to Bailey Jingwei and bowed. Wu Randong shuddered. You! Star Emissary, I thank you for all your care these years and for making me your deputy, but I was always with the Prime Minister. The man bowed with a smile. Wu Randong's eyes twitched in anger. Bailey Jingwei laughed. Did you really think I only just noticed you? I've been aware ages ago, being patient for the spies I sent among your higher ranks. But I must say, Devil Palace sure is tight. After so many years, my spy only got up to deputy emissary. I knew that was the limit, so I no longer waited and acted. Your uprisings have all been accounted for, fended off with Sword Kings. In fact, the forces attacking the 4 lands aren't Sword Kings. That was fake info I gave you, and you fell for it. Chapter 1154, World Order. Chapter 1154, World Order. Proofreader, Papatonks, Bailey Jingwei. Wu Randong howled. Devil Palace disciple, kill them all. Yes, sir. The men charged at Bailey Jingwei with the intent to kill and break the enemy lines. Wishful thinking, especially when they came prepared. Bailey Jingwei grinned and stepped back as he signaled. The soldiers behind charged, using this chance to end all future uprising with this. One blood flowed once more, the clamor deafening. Only this time it wasn't a one-sided slaughter, but a bloody battle to both sides. And all were driven to kill the other Devil Palace disciples were elites in their own right, making even the thinned Empire's armies have a tough time handling them, but with a Sword King around, Baliu, raining death from above, the Devil Palace side could only howl in pain as they were butchered. Star Emissary, where are the Dharma Kings? We can't take on a Sword King. Star Emissary, call a Dharma King to help. Just where are they? Star Emissary, why isn't a Dharma King showing up? What of Palace Lord? Ack. Wu Randong's ears were drowned in the screams of his brothers, but his face was hard, his eyes closed. Zhua Fan's words played in his mind. You'll have to endure for a bit. Humph. What's so bad with a bit of pain? As long as the Empire falls, I'll even accept being cast away. Wu Randong roared with fury, joining the fray without any qualms for his life. I want him alive! Bailey Jingwei singled out the crazed Wu Randong, then looked around, right, just where the 5 Dharma Kings and Palace Lord. Besides the Sword Star Empire's imperial capital, many vital cities had uprisings, but unlike a century ago, they were all snuffed out. 3 days was all it took to take them all down. All dissidents were either killed, wounded, or in custody with hardly any real damage. The underground society in the Empire was thus purged. Even the scouts and spies were soon caught thanks to the betrayal of other spies. Devil Palace had been removed from the central area, down to the last man. A week later, Devil Palace's deputy star emissary was in the Imperial Hall, reporting, Your Majesty, Prime Minister, from what I've seen, the Empire is free of Devil Palace. I ask that you confirm this. Jingwei, the Empire is at peace. Emperor Bailey Jingshi nodded. The Empire's heart has been in constant unrest for an entire century from Devil Palace's meddling. Now the Empire is whole again. They've used the weaknesses after the war and slipped in, but in just a few days all were removed. While I refrain claiming that every single one got caught, they can hardly be of worth and unable to affect us. Devil Palace is so secretive. The deputy emissary knows hardly half of its affairs. But by drawing them out, and along with the deputy emissary's info, the devils hidden in the Empire were driven to extinction. Bailey Jingwei was in a good mood too. The Empire has order once more. I can send the armies without worry the Empire might come under another uprising. With internal affairs resolved, it's time to focus on external matters. Bailey Jingshi eased as well after a century of deep worry. We now have to wait for news from the Four Lands. Ha ha ha. That side should be fine. Let's talk about this one first. Bailey Jingwei nodded and said, Has the identity of the Devil Palace Star emissary been found? Who is he? The deputy bowed. Prime Minister, I've been looking into him these few days and found him to be Serene Shores Trading's second young master, Wu Randong. It's really him. Bailey Jingwei sneered. Humph! I just knew the survivors of Serene Shores Trading started the unrest 100 years ago. Only they had the grounds to connect to the entire world and create such a huge faction. The deputy bowed. I am in awe of the Prime Minister's insight. Since Devil Palace is a cover for Serene Shores Trading, why is he just a Star Devil emissary and not the Palace Lord? Ignoring the blatant bootlicking, Bailey Jingwei huffed. Did you find anything about Palace Lord, the kings, and the other emissaries? The deputy deflated. Prime Minister, Devil Palace Lord is like a shadow while the kings barely show themselves. The other two emissaries are also secretive, hardly in contact with other disciples. The Star Emissary is also secretive, but far more familiar to the disciples and handles most matters of the palace. He united the disciples in 3 lands and had great power. And, apart from Star Devil Emissary, none in Devil Palace knows who those 8 people are. Bailey Jingwei shouted, Let's go to this second young master and find out just how great Serene Shores Trading's master really is. Bailey Jingwei flicked his sleeve and left with the humble deputy. They went through the dark jail and many gates to arrive at a dim cell. Wu Randong sat with his sealed cultivation on a straw mat with eyes closed clap. Ha ha ha, the second young master looked settled in. Gone is the fire from a century ago. Being Star Devil Emissary helped smoothen those edges and made you grow up. Bailey Jingwei clapped and laughed. One thing I don't understand is, since Devil Palace was once Serene Shores Trading, why would you leave this big project in the hands of someone else instead of leading it yourself? Wu Randong mocked. The seat of power has always been taken by the able since time immemorial. I have not the skills to fill it, and thus let it go. It's fortunate, too, not harming everyone like this. What are you saying? Bailey Jingwei fixed his eyes on him. Wu Randong held a snicker. Palace Lord warned me when he entered seclusion for me to be calm, resuming the plan when he came out. But anger got the best of me and seized the chance to act without permission. As a result, the toil put years after years into the central area was ruined. I'm sad but also glad, for I am not the Palace Lord, and only the central area's side was destroyed instead of the entire Devil Palace. Don't you think I was close to getting everyone killed? Ha! Now I see why only the Star Emissary attacked. You disobeyed. The deputy nodded. Bailey Jingwei stared hard, his eyes shining. You think I'd buy that? Can't you be honest for a change? Believe what you will. I lament my impulsiveness and not doing it to inform you. You'll probably forget my words, trying to guess my mind instead. Ha ha ha. Wu Randong, you've gotten sharp, unlike the old and rash second young master. Bailey Jingwei said, Who is the Palace Lord and the 5 Dharma Kings? Wu Randong sneered. The deputy raged, showcasing his lapdog personality by trying to make him talk to get a pat from his master, but Bailey Jingwei waved him off. I never use violence for confessions because anything said under pain can't be trusted. Bailey Jingwei smirked. Guard, announced that Serene Shores Trading, the current Devil Palace's Star Devil emissary, Wu Randong, is to be executed 10 days later by heavenly punishment. Let all lands know. Wu Randong scorned, threatening me. No, only telling your palace, Lord, to come out. He is shrewd and decisive. He won't fall for such an obvious trap. Wu Randong chuckled. Bailey Jingwei snickered as well. I know, anyone could see the trap from a mile away, but some traps can't be avoided. What? Gossip is dreadful. Bailey Jingwei said, Devil Palace is built on Serene Shores Trading, which means there are many elders from it. By giving everything to him, if he doesn't help you in time of need, could he still stay a palace lord? He has no choice but to come. My people are sensible men. Just how I witnessed my family being killed, the elders won't stir. Wu Randong's eyes grew red, recalling the tragedy. They know what's to be done. To you, maybe, but to an outsider like Palace Lord? Humph. Bailey Jingwei huffed. In any case, I don't need to know who he really is. In 10 days I'll have him reveal himself instead. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1155 Bestowal. Chapter 1155 Bestowal. Proofreader, Papatonks. Wu Randong's eyes shook and clenched his fists. He was trying to hold it in, but the bloodshot eyes betrayed his anger. Bailey Jingwei gave a winning smirk. A guard rushed in and bowed with 4 jade slips in his hands. Prime Minister, reports from the lands came in of the completed operations. There are only stragglers fleeing. The Sword Kings are sending the soldiers to deal with. Overall, the 4 lands are seized. Truly. Bailey Jingwei lit up and snatched the jade slips. He read them and exploded. Ha ha ha, a new world order. My nation rules all the lands at long last. Next remains handling the 2 dissidents. With them out of the way, humph. Bailey Jingwei smirked and shouted, Have all officials assemble in the imperial capital. His Majesty will bestow rewards and titles to celebrate this momentous occasion. Ha ha ha. Yes. The guard looked pleased as well as he ran to carry out the order. The deputy emissary glanced at Wu Randong with mockery, then slammed the cell door shut. Their steps echoed in the distance, leaving Wu Randong in solitude. Wu Randong grinned. Palace Lord's cunning is flawless. He had me practice emotion and facial expression control. It took all I had not to laugh in Bailey Jingwei's face. Ha ha ha. Wu Randong let out a carefree laughter, sharp like a crow's that sent a chill down one's spine. 3 days later, Zither Sword King sat in Double Dragon Manor's heaven, reaching pavilion as he played a soothing tune matching the scenery. A ruckus sounded out of nowhere, disturbing the peace. Zither Sword King's hand halted, and he sighed, Uncultured Philistin. Zither Sword King shook his head, finding Li Jingtian bringing her thuggish venerable along with a bow. The Luo clan has blockaded western lands and is hunting down the stragglers. How might we be of help? Zither Sword King, having called us. Zither Sword King gave them a look. Like a service clan, you're not a good fit with me. Music is wasted on you. They shared puzzled looks. How's the hunt going then? Even if some escape, they can never be allowed to leave western lands. The Luo clan has lived the military way and is more than efficient in this. Those remnants won't escape us. Zither Sword King can rest assured. Luo Yunchang spoke with pride and a smile. Zither Sword King eased and took out a jade slip. Prime Minister Bailey sent word, calling all ministers and officials to the imperial capital for bestowal. You've helped make things easier by working with us and have most credit for this achievement. You shall come with me. Bailey Jingwei will release Yunhai. Luo Yunchang was stern, snatching the jade slip and looking at it with hope. Zither Sword King nodded and resumed playing. In northern lands, Sea Bright Sect, Bailey Yun took the highest people to Sect Leader Hall, coughing. Ahem, you've done well, everyone. Report. The past few days were spent with the Sun Sea Sect, working with the 3 Sword Kings and the central area's 10 million soldiers at the borders to clean the northern lands. Without the Seabright sect leading, the other 3 sects were aimless, killed off so easily. But many people are hiding and scared. We couldn't find them. At the moment, we are conducting a wide search to root them out and leave nothing for the Empire to suffer later. Bu Xingyun was the first to stand in front with his head held high and his chest puffed out. Only Ouyang Changqing and the 4 elders have yet to be found, posing problems. As Sword King level experts, Bailey Yun waved him off. Ha ha ha, leave it be. What of it anyway? The northern lands are ours, so what can they possibly do? They'll end up surrounded like last time. The invincible sword had been surrounded then, and had suffered so, which means they will only have it worse. Ha ha ha, ugh. Bu Xingyun choked, noticing Bailey Yun's cold glare. Bailey Yun was grave. Sect leader Bu, you're the Empire's official now, not of northern lands anymore. Patriarch is our god, and you treat him as a joke? No, never. It's Sir who? I only said how to deal with them, not hinting Patriarch. But you. Sword King, I was wrong. Spare me, please. Bu Xingyun wailed in tears. Blasted all to hell. You started going back memory lane, and now you pin it on me? Were you setting me up? Damn right it's a setup. Bailey Yuyun sneered inside, his eyes shining. Never mind. I'll overlook it the first time. Just make sure to remember that Patriarch is never to be questioned. Yes, thank you, Sword King, for your mercy. Bu Xingyun spoke at ease. Bailey Yuyun nodded and showed a jade slip. Prime Minister Bailey called everyone back to the imperial capital for their rewards. Sect leader Bu, you are the Northern Lands King, and it will soon become official as well. Ha ha ha, congratulations. Bu Xingyun was overwhelmed with emotion, but he noticed Bailey Yuyun smirk, and he realized curses. Did he set me up because he eyes my power as Northern Lands King? Sword King, you jest. It's all due to Sir's help in earning this glory. I will never forget it. I shall listen to Sir's every word, even if named king. Sect leader Bu is so polite. Bailey Yuyun chuckled. A Northern Lands King was like a regional governor, having great sway in the Empire. Being the Northern Lands King, I will rise in status in the Empire, and Bailey Yuyun is using him to get higher too. You may have gotten glory, but I can bury you just as easily. Catching his drift, Bu Xingyun became touched by Bailey Yuyun's care. Where's that old wine sword immortal? I don't know. He hasn't been seen in days. Bu Xingyun answered like a good puppy. A stench of wine wafted in, followed by wine sword immortal himself with a filled jar. His nose looked red like a tomato. I've scoured Seabright sect cellar and found at last that Northern Lands does have some good wine. This icy wine is so smooth and cool. I've never tasted anything like it. You should all try it, but just a sip. I barely found 30 of these. Even with 30 jars, you're still only letting others sip? Humph! You blind, stinking drunk. Bailey Yuyun mocked. Wine sword immortal, Prime Minister called us to the imperial capital for rewards. Be ready. We're leaving now. There's loads of fine wine in the north that I've yet to sample. You go while I try some more for a couple of days. Make sure you don't miss it. It's too important. Bailey Yuyun glared, waving the others to follow him out. We're going. Humph. That's just how the old drunkard is. See ya. Wine sword immortal waved them off with a goony smile. Then his smile fell once they were gone. His drunk look was replaced with gravity, shouting, "Guard, assemble the men." The Eastern Lands and Southern Lands got Bailey Jingwei's message as well. Shangguan Feiyun grew eager at the thought of a ceremony and rushed to the imperial capital. Danqing Shen was respectfully sending off the officials sent to Southern Lands, while he did the same as Wine Sword Immortal, assembling the men for some baffling reason, but with it taking time, they were bound to reach the imperial capital 3 days later in a blizzard. A man was sitting upright on the ice, a black sword hovering in front casting an eerie glint in the sun. Chapter 1156, 7 Layers Growth. Chapter 1156. 7 Layers Growth. Proofreader, Papatonks. The space warped around Zhuo Fan as his aura grew violent. The sky was rumbling, and a fierce wind picked up. The sea churned and battered the shore with bigger and bigger waves. The only quiet place was around Zhuo Fan, but it was under a heavy pressure, forced into keeping still, like an active volcano ready to explode. Zhuo Fan shook just then and held at the sky. The skies shook and black energy flowed into the heavens, swallowing everything until there was nothing but darkness. The sun was covered as well, turning day into night. This was Zhuo Fan's Genesis stage effect of using world power. Demonic sky. This was just the start, for Zhuo Fan shook again and dragons roared in veneration. The black sky had then formed countless black dragons, roaming through the darkness. Their whipping tails shuddered the world around them. They looked like heavenly punishment sent from up above to lay waste to all creation. This was the effect of Zhuo Fan's twin souls in the Genesis stage. Draconic sky. The strongest beast soul, heaven dragon soul, turned the demonic sky into its own lair. As the king of beasts, it would tear apart anything that barged into its domain with all the black dragons. It was beyond even demonic sky's sword. Dragon Danqing dragon-cleaving power, was more like a strengthened spiritual weapon. One couldn't take it, but dodging was more than possible. Zhuo Fan's demonic dragon nest, however, was a meat grinder. It was a combination of domain soul and dragon soul. On an entirely new level. Was this the end, though? Of course not. Danqing's power came from the sword and dragon, while Zhuo Fan's came from a domain and dragon. But since he also had a sword within, ding! Ringing sounded as the demonic sword felt as Zhuo Fan's power grew exponentially and surged with glee. It then jumped out of the ice and soared into the sky. The black sky surged, with its thick darkness reaching for the demonic sword, while the thousands of dragons roared and converged. The blackness gathered on the demonic sword, growing it to 300 meters. The waves of raw power it oozed sent the North Sea rippling stronger and stronger. Zhuo Fan shouted at the skies once more, shooting into the air and grabbing the hilt boom. The black clouds around the sword exploded, scattering everywhere and unleashing black sword waves, destroying anything in their path. Even the barrier couldn't take it for long, sporting bigger and bigger cracks as Zhuo Fan held the demonic sword. He looked like a demon from hell. Darkness ebbed into his surroundings, devouring as it went, while the sword auras destroyed the rest too. Once all settled down, and the sky turned bright again, Zhuo Fan put down the demonic sword and found no trace of ice where it could sit. His flashy display had it all melted, and this was Ice Heaven Sealing, CAO, made with his sealing power. The same ice the invincible sword couldn't even scratch. Yet it was no match for the black sword waves. Zhuo Fan had, beyond any shadow of a doubt, surpassed the invincible sword, the past 100 years one at least. Brat, are you mental? Plop! A one-eyed huge head popped out of the water, roaring, using Dragon Soul with 9 Serenity's domain, then adding Sword Sovereign's 4 fused swords. Are you trying to break the heavens? This place can't take it, so scram already. Just look at the mess you've made of my place. Zhuo Fan grinned and bowed. Senior CAO, thank you so much for your care this past century, or I would have never learned the depths of the 4 sword arts. Spare me! I only shared with you the sword intent the sword sovereign leaked when he formed it. You did all the work, not me. I also wanted to see if the arts would have joined as the swords did. It was just an experiment, not meant to help you. Stop reading too much into it. Zhuo Fan nodded. I understand, but learning the sword here for so many years has disturbed you. Now that I leave, I may never return. Take care, Senior. You're really leaving. CAO looked reluctant but then nodded. Yeah, you should go, if not to fight to find that girl. At least get her back. Zhuo Fan nodded solemnly. Only a sovereign could form a sovereign path, giving him endless lifespan. Regardless of who put it in him, it was now with Qingqing. He wasn't that hurried to get it back, though, but wealth stirred envy, inviting disaster. He could not let her become another's prey. Zhuo Fan bowed once more. Senior, farewell. Zhuo Fan left, with CAO watching him go. The human kid is gone, and now I feel bored. Should I go find another? Who in this world would be as interesting as him? What a drag. Zhuo Fan came out of CAO's domain to find two people standing tall with respect. They cheered up at his coming, and Chower said, "Congratulations, Father, on reaching Genesis stage." Father's in the first layer of profound heaven? Then the strength should be at Genesis. Gu Santong tested, feeling his own strength. Zhuo Fan said, "Genesis stage, 7th layer." 7th? You went through 7 of them? It was nothing. Having focused on learning swordsmanship, my cultivation was long since ready to take the leap. It was just sitting there for the last step. Moreover, it contains insights in the sword, though the regress was a little small. Zhuo Fan sighed. I feel the path the 10 ancient sovereigns were after isn't far. This makes the true self, art, incredible. While training the heart, it is in tune with the Tao. Now you're mocking all those experts and mighty lords scrambling for better and better cultivation methods. And it turns out to be in the hands of averages? Maybe because it's average that it conforms with the world's nature. Chower teased, and Zhuo Fan exclaimed, "Some that go too far forget their start, making them grow further and further apart." The two were stumped, not getting anything from that. Zhuo Fan had a feeling. He just needed to test it now, but that was for later. What mattered now was to finish the ascension. Zhuo Fan asked them, "Has the plan been going smoothly?" "All according to your predictions, Father." "Good, then let's make a trip to the Sword Star Empire's capital and finish my last fight in the mortal domain." Ding! A black sword pointed ahead, and Zhuo Fan grinned. Thirsting for battle, the dark demon lord was bearing his fang at the Empire. In the imperial capital, all grand officials and ministers gathered. In the lead was Zither Sword King and the Luo clan, followed by Shangguan Feiyun, Southern Lands Group and Northern Lands Group. Danqing Shen and Wine Sword Immortal were 3 days late. Sorry, I'm late, ha ha ha. 1,000 pardons. Cupping hands all over the place, Wine Sword Immortal and Dragon, Cleaving Sword King, came to the Imperial Hall. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Dragon, Cleaving Sword King, and Wine Sword Immortal, why the delay? The old drunkard found a stash of good wine. You understand, right, Prime Minister? Ha ha ha, Bailey Yun mocked. Wine Sword Immortal glared at him, then chuckled at everyone else. Bailey Jingwei nodded, having known his style, but he asked, Dragon, Cleaving Sword King, what about you? I picked up someone's trail in Southern Lands and invited him here, making me Tari, Prime Minister. Danqing Shen smiled. Bailey Jingwei raised an eyebrow. Who? It can't be Murong clan's venerables requiring Dragon, Cleaving Sword King's personal assistance, can it? Of course not. Those foggies hardly need 3 days, let alone wasting so much time to track them. Ha ha ha. Then Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone with curiosity. Chapter 1157, Sentence. Chapter 1157, Sentence. Proofreader, Papatonks. Clap. Danqing Shen showed a vague smile. Then a guard brought a gorgeous woman, and that took even Bailey Jingwei by surprise. Morong Shui. I heard she was around, so I stayed a few more days before coming to Prime Minister. Danqing Shen smiled. Bailey Jingwei nodded and laughed. Dragon, Cleaving Sword King is the cornerstone of the Empire, making such efforts. Morong Shui has been hiding for a century, and now we have her once more. Now Murong Lai or their venerables will have to come out. Ha ha ha. The Empire will have them cornered and remove one more danger. Humph, think again. Not even I could find my brother after all these years, him having ignored any and all affairs. He won't come even if you have me. Murong Shui mocked. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Miss Murong better pray your news will reach your brother. It's such a pity for a pretty lady like you, ha ha ha. Guard, add 1 name to the execution list. In 5 days, the traitorous Murong woman will be executed by heavenly punishment. Let the lands know. If Murong Lai and the rest come out, humph, give them her corpse. Yes. The guard bowed and took away the cold Murong Shui. Bailey Jingwei smiled, turning to the others. Everyone here is a valued official. His Majesty will bestow to you all your reward on the day of the execution, thanking you for all your efforts in the Empire's campaign. Thank you, Prime Minister. They all echoed and laughed. Luo Yunchang pondered and asked, Prime Minister, could you release my brother and his wife? Oh, Alliance Leader Luo. Making a show of recalling it, Bailey Jingwei nodded with a smile and shouted, Guard, arrest the Luo clan! What? Luo Yunchang's group started, finding themselves seized by Zither Sword King and Shangguan Feiyun. Not even the Venerables could do anything. Prime Minister Bailey, what's the meaning of this? Zhuge Changfeng spat. Bailey Jingwei shrugged with a twisted smile. Isn't it obvious? You're traitors being caught for execution 5 days from now. Prime Minister Bailey, we surrendered. So why? You did, but not your alliance leader. Bailey Jingwei spoke harshly. I should reward you for having helped with Western lands by releasing alliance leader Luo, but with your leader against me. What then am I supposed to do if he starts messing things up? So I can't let him go. You could complain that I broke my word and start fighting me as well. That's too much of a pain. So might as well get rid of you all. Without the Luo alliance, none of that will happen, right? Ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng cursed. Bailey Jingwei, you backstabbing bastard. I want to keep my word, but your alliance leader Luo wouldn't feel like living up to the deal. Bailey Jingwei shrugged, sneering at the three minds. Besides, back in that house, I told you three that I'll talk if you guess my intent. But in the end, none of you had the right to negotiate with me. All the pieces were in my hand, while you couldn't even have the option to choose. Take them away. Guards escorted the Luo clan out, leaving behind a trail of curses and shouts. Bailey Jingwei smiled, only the weak bark. If that would have done the trick, why would the strong need their fists? Ha ha. Wise, Prime Minister. The others bowed. Bailey Jingwei nodded. Sword King Lu, have the Luo clan's members been dealt with? The Luo clan is in charge of the Western lands borders. They'll notice the slightest movement, and it will take time to handle them all. It's fine. We'll deal with as many as we can. It won't matter how many escape. As long as the Luo Alliance's top brass are dead, they'll be lost, walking right into our traps. I'll give the word to pull in the net. Zither Sword King nodded. The rest's hearts sank. Bailey Jingwei was cruel and sick, not even willing to give them any chance of even fighting, ignoring the obvious discontent in others. Bailey Jingwei's smile never left his face. Everyone can now take rest in your quarters in the Imperial Palace. In 5 days, the ceremony will begin. As for Luo Alliance, you don't have to worry. I'm not one to throw people away. I always reward those that have the good of the Empire in mind. The Luo clan was too ambivalent and had to be resolved. You understand. We're amazed by the Prime Minister's thoroughness. They all bowed. Bailey Jingwei left pleased as the rest disbanded, while whispering about the event they failed to notice. Bailey Jingwei looking over his shoulder at them, his eyes cold and disdainful. Ceremony? Ha! How unbearably naive. 5 days later will be a day of peace for the Sword Star Empire. All danger shall be purged. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei cackled to himself. 5 days later, in the imperial capital's main square, the place was packed with the city's people, for today was the execution of many convicts in the previous execution. Only Bailey Jingshi and Bailey Jingwei were present. But this time there were the 10 Sword Kings and the officials from the 4 lands, including the traitor Bu Xingyun on the scaffold. Many kneeled, people from many factions, and all with renown. The first was the ex-leader of Northern Lands, Sea Bright Sect leader Ling Yintian. Feeling his scraped knees on the wood and his cultivation sealed, the eyes of everyone made him feel like a circus animal, filling him with shame. Bu Xingyun, you rotten animal! You sold out Northern Lands sections. Your day will come. TCH, my day? Not before yours, bag of bones. Bu Xingyun mocked. Looking mighty smug at the old man, Wu Randong was calm by contrast, neither sad nor happy. But some of the people below pointed at him, knowing who he was. In regret, so many people from the serene shores trading died 100 years ago, but they still had an heir. Now even he is culled. What sin is this to not even spare their bloodline? Next was the Luo clan, looking forlorn. Luo Yunchang was bleak, gnashing her teeth in anger at the vilifying words of the crowd below, blasted Zhuofan. What the hell has he been scheming? I've never been insulted like this in my life. Now I'm about to get the noose, yet he still takes his time? Is he waiting for me to die? This rotten vile. Sister, what are you saying? Luo Yunhai muttered, earning her glare before she exclaimed, Just die in peace and leave me alone, humph! Luo Yunhai flinched. Stump, sister. We all are doing the dying here. Couldn't you give us one last good memory? Not like there will be any left. Luo Yunhai sighed. Sister, I know you care for me, but how could you trust Bailey Jingwei? Now we're all sentenced. If only Sifin is safe. Don't worry, the girl's fine. And you really thought I'd trust Bailey Jingwei? I'm trusting. Never mind. Luo Yunchang stopped herself. Luo Yunhai was puzzled. Sister, are you that frightened? Luo Yunhai sighed. Yuer will be going to the underworld, river together. You must be scared. Never. Not with you by my side. Yuer smiled. Luo Yunhai nodded and smiled back, comforted as the sun reached its peak. Bailey Jingwei grinned and shouted, Let the execution start! A few array masters made signs and thunder flickered above as they gathered power. Bu Xingyun and Shangguan Feiyun grew excited. For after the heads rolled, they get their prize, becoming lords. Only Dan Qingxin and a few others eased a breath, looking at the lightning and then far in the distance. Chapter 1158. The Thunderous Darkness Strike. Chapter 1158. The Thunderous Darkness Strike. Proofreader, Papatonks. Rumble. Heavenly punishment, the highest form of execution the Sword Star Empire could employ. When the Empire was formed, a 12th grade array was set up in the square center, holding their patriarch's earth, ranked martial art gleaned from the divine sword. Void / the 12 array masters made signs and thunder rumbled, forming a thunder sword in the sky capable of erasing any and all life. Taking such a strike would destroy one in body, mind, and soul because of its brutality. None could stop it, becoming the Empire's highest form of punishment. At each sentence, the Emperor, Prime Minister, and all officials were there in respect for the Patriarch. Patriarch was their god, and their god would strike down the criminals while they would prostrate before him. Heavenly punishment is about to descend. Is there any sign of him? The rumbling lightning grew louder and louder, with lightning snaking through the sky as it converged into a terrifying blade. Murong Shui glanced at the blinding light and sighed. I must have lost my mind. Why did I ever agree to this? I just knew he was no good. The imperial capital's residents gasped and awed, treating it like a light show. It's so rare to see heavenly punishment, with hardly any more heavy criminals that need such attention to deter the rest of the world. The first usage began around 3,000 years ago, when it was used freely. Later, it was barely used once a few centuries, until the Empire ruled the lands and shook the world. Then the punishment was so rare that it didn't get brought up as a punishment until 1,000 years later, to the present era, with the most recent being used on serene shores trading 100 years ago. But now it was happening again, making the people thrilled. Such a sight was so rare everyone got fired up. With the first-timers giddy beyond belief, Wu Randong watched the infatuated crowd with a critical eye. Scorning them, there were plenty of ways to kill a man. Why do you think the Empire chose this particular way? It's for all of you, making an example of us to scare away the ignorant masses, as in you fools. The Empire's thunderblade is bearing down our necks, but isn't also hovering over yours? And you're thrilled by it? Huh. Closing his eyes, Wu Randong ignored the filth of the world. Waiting with calm for a strike, or rather the thunderblade, to free him, he had done all he could and was ready to go. While he was without regret, his people couldn't be more in pain. Seeing the thunderblade above, they cried, "Save us, Palace Lord! 5 Dharma kings! Save us! We don't want to die! Palace Lord, save us! We always believed in your might as the one supreme being. Darkness consumes the stars, and the Sword Star Empire will fall. Devils are victorious. Darkness strikes, takes the skies, and makes us kings. Devils are victorious. Darkness strikes, takes the skies, and makes us kings." They yelled their lungs out, whether in belief or clinging to their last hope. It started with one, then more and more Devil Palace disciples shouted, their howls drowning the sky. Their bloodshot eyes, their fervent gazes, and the booming cries spread through the imperial capital. The audience never even heard of Devil Palace, being your average people. But they could feel their hearts thumping at the convicts' howls. Turning perplexed, are they begging for mercy? It doesn't sound like the usual way they do it in the Empire, but praying for some devil. Can this devil save them all from the Empire? That can't be. The people refused to believe it, but seeing their looks and hearing their heartfelt wishes, doubts formed as they themselves muttered those infectious words. Devils are victorious. Darkness strikes, takes the skies, and makes us kings. Devils are victorious. Darkness strikes, takes the skies, and makes us kings. Bailey Jingwei's ears twitched. Watching with cold eyes and indifferent expression, he wanted to draw out their palace lord and kings, to finish everything here and now. Once Devil Palace was gone, everyone would see the might of the Empire, its invincibility. But if he was a no-show, the harder these guys shouted, the heavier the blow to Dark Demon Lord's name would be. What can a strong man do when he can't even rally men? How can he ever compete with an empire? Humph! Ling Yuntian and other captives heard the Devil Palace disciples and their mad shouts, but shook their heads. Are they cultists? Have they lost their minds? With 10 sword kings watching, you expect some lord to come here in enemy territory? The invincible sword of before was the best example of human wave tactics. What fool would risk his life for you all? Wake the hell up. Luo Yunhai shook her head. They're so naive to think the leadership would care for the little guy. The Dark Demon Lord would never come. Quiet, Yunhai. Even if it's not for them, it'll be for us. Luo Yunhai started, turning a piercing stare at his sister, asking in confusion, "Sister, what makes you so sure? You know this Dark Demon Lord? You know him too. He's..." Rumble. The thunderclap drowned her voice as the thunderblade, 300-meter long, was done and fell on their necks. Bailey Yutian's power wasn't something anyone could take. Even if that was a couple thousand years ago, everyone would be dead. Boom. The dreadful power rushed down on its victims, crushing their hearts, and still no savior in sight. The best chance was before the thunderblade struck. Now it was too late. Feeling abandoned, Devil Palace disciples' blind shouts turned weak and soon into sobbing. "Palace Lord! That dead man doesn't care at all about me." Luo Yunchang saw the blade coming down and cursed. Luo Yunhai was calm. Then he faced his wife with a smile. "Let's go together." "Let's, husband." Yuer smiled back. The two closed their eyes, welcoming release. Bailey Jingwei smiled in pride. Dark Demon Lord is nothing, ha ha ha. Everything will end, with no chance of turning it around. Earth level, Devil Palm. A calm voice echoed throughout the square. One of disdain. The boundless space held one long shadow. It grew fast to the size of hundreds of meters. Taking the shape of a black hand, the thunderblade felt stifled. Its oppressive power sapped as it halted its descent. The victims were gaping. Bailey Jingwei jumped to his feet, clenching his fists. He actually came? The people started in utter shock. It stopped. The heavenly punishment was stopped. How? How can the godlike Bailey Yutian's Earth-ranked martial art be blocked? Who did it? With a cooling breeze, clothes ruffled, people whipped around their heads to see a man in white with covered eyes, the picture of godhood, floating down on the scaffold and bearing a snicker. The face had them all frozen, the smile giving them the feeling he held all the power. all the secrets in the world, Zhuo Fan. Bailey Jingwei cried out in utter disbelief, his eyes trembling whoosh. The 10 Sword Kings stood, watching the familiar figure with amazement, and some glee Baliu was beaming with joy. The brat is alive. He's still alive. Chapter 1159, 100-Year Plan. Chapter 1159, 100-Year Plan. Proofreader, Papatonks. Boom! The violent lightning above grew more explosive as it burst with fury. The Thunder Blade wanted nothing more than to exact its judgment and destroy everything. The Black Palm had something else in mind, though. Blocking and shielding the area by stopping its descent to a fan was quite casual. Floating over on the scaffold, none made a move, for not even Bailey Jingwei and the Sword Kings could come out of their shock at seeing this deadly enemy. The guards stayed put, for they were just like the common people. Gapping at the heavenly punishment being blocked for the first time, Zhuo Fan was like a god coming down on this world. Letting him reach the scaffold with no hindrance, approaching the kneeling victims, none made a sound, making every word echo, stinking brat. When have I ever taught you to compromise against a tough enemy? Luo Yinhai was waiting for his end, but flinched at the familiar words. He then opened his eyes to see in the blazing sun the same face he knew all those years. Tearing up at the reunion, Alliance leader Luo, the second best man in Western lands, ended up acting like a child. Big brother Zhuo. Master. Steward Zhuo. The others snapped their attention and cried out in joy. The pillar of the Luo clan had been gone for more than a century, but now he was finally back. The first steward Zhuo Fan, Luo Yunchang's eyes reddened, glaring at him in anger and even more joy as tears fell. The Luo clan's happiness made the other convicts open their eyes with a start. He's not dead. Ling Yuntian and many more were staring blankly. Morong Shuet eased a breath. At least he kept his word and came before I ended up in a grave for nothing. Wu Randong opened his eyes and grinned. Palace Lord, you're here at last. He's the dark demon lord of Devil Palace? The Devil Palace disciple started, then looked at the blocked thunder blade above, moved. Yes, he's our Palace Lord. Palace Lord, you came to save us. Greetings, Palace Lord. The rest started shouting and knocking their heads in relief and happiness. Others were stumped. Zhuo Fan's the Palace Lord, the dark demon lord who controls the world's underground. As the convicts grew rowdy on the scaffold, the rest blinked in confusion. The Grand Marshal of the Four Lands ended up being the leader of the strongest shadow group 100 years later. The people pointed Zhuo Fan out, whispering about him. Who could this man be to stop the heavenly punishment and earn such adoration from the convicts? All eyes were on him as Zhuo Fan took the stage with a riveting entrance. Everyone forgot this was supposed to be an execution of the Sword Star Empire's criminals. The Thunderblade was still hanging overhead. Bailey Jingwei's face twitched. Raising his head to clap, the clamor dimmed just from that. The people turned to him, waking up to the reality that this was the imperial capital's heart. The emperor and prime minister were present and could not be ignored. The convicts quietened, turning grave. Zhuo Fan had come. But saving them was another matter. Especially with the 10 Sword Kings around, it was too early to rejoice. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Sir Zhuo, it's truly been too long. I thought you were dead and have mourned you for years. But to think you'd come out again, bringing me such joy. We can now compete again, ha ha ha. Hold up, we'll go down memory lane later. Let me just deal with this buzzing thing overhead first. It doesn't sit right to have a sword on my neck. It makes me jumpy, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan snickered, raising his right arm and making a fist boom. The black hand clenched as well, and the thunder blade exploded into pretty, harmless lights. The shock wave washed over the square, making the array masters recoil and spit blood, horrified. The imperial capital's residents gasped as it passed, looking at Zhuo Fan in fear. Their god's heavenly punishment was broken just like that. The Sword King's hearts shuddered, turning grave. None of them could do that. His power is on a different level. Zhuo Fan brushed his arms of imaginary dust, smirking at Bailey Jingwei. Now then, Prime Minister, where were we? Bailey Jingwei's face fell, but put on a smile. Ha ha ha. Sejua is mighty in sword and the pen. I just cannot compare. But there are times that not even a great talent such as you can make a difference. What makes you so sure? Isn't it obvious? Sejua had been in seclusion these days, and I moved with speed to secure the four lands. Bailey Jingwei laughed with pride. With a new world order in place, no matter how tough you are, you have no assets, without support, and can't do anything to change that. While I can move the entire world into rooting you out, the same tactic you used before. Coming alone into the heart of the empire only got you trapped. Ling Yuntian sighed. They had the four lands as support before and could hold off the central area's armies. But with the lands fallen, there's no resistance left. Who can face an entire world by themselves? Bailey Yutian only faced the soldiers of two lands and was close to breathing his last. Now Zhuo Fan alone would. All shook their heads in despair, not optimistic of Zhuo Fan's chances. Only a few Luo clansmen held their calm. Zhuo Fan had a quirky smile. Prime Minister, you're right about one thing. Alone, I don't have the strength to fight the might of the current empire without men or support. Only, what makes you think I'm alone? Wah. Bailey Jingwei's heart sank, then became frantic. I've removed Devil Palace from the central area, and you think your forces in the other lands can stop the central area? Ha ha ha, is this a bluff? You'd have tried that already if you could, instead of waiting until now. I don't believe you suddenly have the strength to fight the empire when 100 years couldn't help and your men are weakened. Zhuo Fan cocked an eyebrow. Some things you just have to believe, maybe it's true. What's that supposed to mean? Bailey Jingwei tensed. His eyes fixed on him, Zhuo Fan grinned wildly. If the Prime Minister really wants to know, why not try understanding the 100-year plan? You'll see then. Advise me then, Sir Zhuo. Bailey Jingwei nodded. He would have scoffed at anyone else's request, since none could compare to his brilliant scheming genius. Only Zhuo Fan, his archenemy, was worth the attention after matching him every step of the way. They were like perfect chess partners. It'd be great to have a close friend to share his exquisite planning. His old enemy made for such a close friend then, Sir Zhuo. It all began with the World War 100 years ago. The empire had fallen in its harshest times and turmoil, but I have never taken my eyes off the other lands.